Well, hello there.
Hi, Robert. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. My, don't you look lovely?
Oh, thank you. I just realized that I could stream this to my channel. Hold on, let me stop what I'm doing. You caught me off guard. So, thank you for inviting me on tonight. I'm so excited to be live with you.
Well, you're welcome. The I have two videos I want to go over tonight. One of them has the interviews that have been scrubbed,
Okay, great.
and the other one is a video that I put out called "The Pieces Don't Fit."
I don't know if I've seen that one. Is that one that I've seen yet, Robert?
No, you haven't seen that one yet.
All right. Oh, I'm really interested in seeing it.
That's the first video I'm going to play.
Okay.
But I am happy to be back on my first live stream back.
Welcome back to YouTube, Robert. We're thrilled to have you back. I'm thrilled to have my streaming buddy back. So,
I'm str- I'm uh, I'm elated to have my streaming buddy back.
yeah, this is going to be good. You're coming at a good time in the case, too, Robert. We've got a hearing coming up.
Yep.
Do you have a car? Do you have a clean driving record? Did you know that you could be paying?
I'm just telling my audience I'm live. We should do it up here.
Would you guys be shocked at all to discover that the 2015 Hyundai Elantra was not in Brian's name? It was in his mother's name. Well, I did a little bit of late night sleuthing last night, and I came across this. Idaho murder suspect Brian Koberger has no criminal history, no car registered in his own name. Retired FBI agent says Koberger would not have been in National DNA fingerprint database. Or what about this? U of I classes canceled on November 14th to honor the student victims. And yes, guys, I got a hold of the original Vandal report too. Moscow PD is investigating homicide on King Road near campus. Suspect is not known at this time. Stay away from the area and shelter in place. But yet, roughly about 3 hours later, they removed the shelter in place, do they not? What is going on in Idaho? Like, seriously, what is going on in Idaho? And how come there's only 3 cop cars?
There's only
You
three
got one
cop
right there, you got one right there, and then you got one behind this one that's off camera. We all know the crime scene, which is no longer there because the university wanted it gone. And how come there was only 117 pieces of evidence, guys? Only 117. There's Chief Fry looking, actually, no, Captain Rainier, or Lanier, looking for something. Maybe the knife or the murder weapon. And there's old Bill Thompson talking to Chief Fry. So he was on scene the day after the murders.
North Idaho, where 4 University of Idaho students were found dead in an off-campus house yesterday morning. Today, both the university and police identified the students who were killed. 3 of them are from Idaho. News Channel 7's Andrew Bartline and photographer Troy Colson made their way up to Moscow today. Andrew is now live at the scene. So, Andrew, what can you tell us since you've arrived there?
I don't think that Rusty would be here today if it wasn't for the farmer's dog. He was always a dry kibble dog because that was all we knew growing up. And so I thought.
Well, first off, we'll set the scene for where we are on campus. It's kind of the corner of Queen and King. If you're not familiar with their roads, I mean, it's just kind of off the campus, kind of near one of those Greek row sections that's sort of broken into 2 here up at the University of Idaho, pretty close to that water tower. We talked with the Moscow mayor, Art Bedke. He tells us that it's just the start of an investigation. He tells us that this scene is complex. It's going to take time to work through. He said the Idaho State Police is going to be bringing up a mobile unit to the area as well to sort of sort through this more complex crime scene, he says. He says there's no ongoing threat at the time. Wanted to make that clear and echo what we've heard from police, but there is no suspect. There's nobody in custody right now in relation to this. Now, this quote that's going around, a crime of passion that has been seen in several media outlets published, he clarified that to us. The mayor is not saying it is a crime of passion. He says it could be a crime of passion. He also clarified that it could have been a burglary gone wrong. There's a couple different options right now, but again, complex scene, working through it to find out. Now,
A burglary gone wrong could be a crime of passion.
we'll show you what some video of this looks like earlier today as you're looking around at this area. The tape is still up. As Doug said, 4 students dead. That they were found around noon yesterday. It is a homicide investigation. And now the names are known to us. It's Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Cornoodle, and Kaylee Goncalves. And we talked with a neighbor who lives right next door to them. She said she knew nothing the night of, but police cars the day after sort of woke them up around noon. And now she says her and all of her roommates and people on this block are going home early for Thanksgiving break.
A lot of people left last night, and then we were like, I know we were like one of the only ones who like actually stayed here last night. My mom has called me every single hour for since 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah, they want me to come home if I don't feel safe. They just said, come home. Like a week worth of school isn't worth it. Like if you're just gonna be scared every night. So it was just every little noise. I was like, is someone in the house? I don't know. And it was just scary. It's all just shocking and scary. I never would have thought that this would have happened here.
The university canceled classes today. Classes are scheduled to resume tomorrow, but as we mentioned, a handful of students are leaving early. And actually the scene right now, if you want to take us back, you can see that a car is actually now driving in onto the property. This is a Moscow police car. There's already 1 police car on the property right now, so that would make it 2. That other car has been there since we got here earlier today. That was around, I believe, 4 o'clock Mountain Time. So there's a couple moving pieces right now, and it looks like there might be another car. And it does, no, never mind. I take that back. That is a residential car nonetheless. But we're going to stay on top of this. We're going to have more for you at the news at 10, more of our conversation with the mayor and for the people who live in this neighborhood, sort of how they're handling this situation right now. Doug.
Andrew, thank you for getting us up to speed there live in Moscow. Look for your report.
I want to go back to this, guys. No car registered in own name. So how would this tie back to Brian? Or that car tie back to Brian? It was not in his name. If it was his mother's name, I could understand that. But this is just one of the oddities, guys, in the Idaho 4 case. One of the many oddities, like you heard them say. 4 University of Idaho students killed in crime of passion. This is from the New York Times. The authorities were still piecing together what transpired at home near the University of Idaho campus. It was not a crime of passion, guys. Then what is it? Break-in gone wrong?
I've been using Epidemic Sound as my go-to resource for background music and sound effects for the last 6 years since I grew.
Now, I found this as well.
Can you first just tell me
Little late
how
night
you guys are
sleuthing
doing?
last night.
That's a tough question.
A picture of all the girls. This is what it's about, guys. It's about justice. Justice for Kaylee. And Maddie. And Xana. I don't trust her. And I don't trust her. It's about justice for Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and she's 20 years old. That's Xana. She's 20 years old. Being a goofy young adult right there. I don't trust Dylan at all. Yes, there's a picture of Ethan in there too. I just gotta find it.
Robert, this is just Google Photos that we're looking at.
This is actually from a group called These Young Adults Were Snuffed Out. It is actually from a group called 1122 King Roadhouse. And it's the homicide investigation photos.
What is this, a Facebook group?
No, I came onto this group by Nina.
Oh. Shout out to Warning Label Nina.
Yep.
Well, this looks like an amazing resource to find photos, of the girls archived. So I'm glad you told me about it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's not just the girls. It has the pictures of the not the inside of the house crime scene, but what the ISP and what the Moscow PD is doing, outside of the house, looking for clues, looking for evidence.
Interesting. They're 113 pieces of evidence that we talk about so much.
Yeah. A Wanda woman says, Robert or Kiki, do you all know when Ann Taylor first went to the King Road house?
I don't know the date, but I'm sorry. I just kind of decided I'd answer that question, Robert. Did you want to say something?
And I believe wasn't it like a week or two after the murders, like before Brian was even named as a suspect. Because I know Bill Thompson was on the scene like the day after the unalivings.
I'm gonna Google it for us. Hold on. First to 1122 King Road. All right, what do we got here? That's for demolition. I know she. So, okay, my first impression when you asked that question is I'm thinking back and I'm remembering when we heard that Ann Taylor was going to be assigned the case. And we weren't sure if she was going to be the one to permanently hold it when she first got assigned. But I do remember those pictures of her and her team right after BK's arrest. And the article I just saw was from January 6th. But I will try to look around, Wanda, and see if we can get a good concrete answer for you, or maybe someone will text it to me in Discord if they're so kind. But yeah, we'll get an answer for you by the end of the show, Wanda. That's a great question.
Before they had a chance to actually live their life. And personally, I think she's behind it.
I've got an answer to Wanda's question.
Go ahead.
All right, so it says, Ann Taylor, the public defender for Brian Kohlberger, first visited 1122 King Road home January 23rd. Hold on. She filed a motion, in January of 2023. So it had to have been after the arrest. She filed a motion to preserve the crime scene as evidence, which led to the postponement of the planned demolition of the house. This decision was made to ensure the necessary evidence can be gathered and preserved to the ongoing investigation or trial. So it looks like after BK was arrested, but we'll try and get more solid evidence than AI, because we know how reliable AI can be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Heather sent a date. Hold on.
I'm not too sure about him. Yeah, January 3rd, 2023.
Thank you. Oh, Heather, I'm sorry. I had my ringer off. Thank you very much.
But her, I do not trust. Because she thinks she's going to.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Who I got here? Oh!
Be arrested.
I think I could profile you by your commercials.
More likely for that 8-hour gap. Not calling 911. And personally, when I broke down the PCA the other day, I don't believe a word Dylan says in it. I don't believe a word Dylan says in that PCA. It does not match up because she contradicted herself in that PCA. First, she says that she opened the door for the second time and heard the sounds of Kernodle crying. Okay, well, and someone saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." If you now, you and I talked about that the other night, Kiki, about the "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
Yes, and I have.
Now, what type of killer would be saying something like that? That just rings of either an EMT or a police officer going, "Hey, it's okay, I'm here to help." What homicidal maniac is going through the house going, "It's okay, I'm going to help you"?
Well, I don't know. And that statement has just chilled me to the bones since I first heard it. Like, all I can go back to, the only thing I've ever heard that makes sense is that, and I've said this in my last live stream, is I heard from another YouTuber who says from her sources that Dylan was sleeping in her bed, and when she yelled, "Shut the F up," she yelled it from her bed. And this is just a theory, you guys. This is all speculation. I don't have any way to confirm this. And then Kaylee yelled down, "There's someone here." Like, that's the last thing she got out. And then diabolically, the immediate answer down was to Dylan, "No, I'm here to help," because he was answering the person that was downstairs. That's the only theory I can come up with, because it is the most, like you said, it is so confusing and it doesn't make any sense. And we're hearing like this story in fragments and we're just trying to process it. Our minds, humans like to make a nice circle of thought. And when we can't do that, naturally our brains just want to fill everything in. And that's what's going on right now, because no clear picture was painted in that PCA. So sorry to.
Yeah, the PCA, I believe, is Brett Payne's wet fantasy. Because he's made a statement in one of the hearings that he lets other people do his work for him because they're a lot smarter than he is.
Yeah, I think that he could have thought about that statement maybe a little bit more. Something, like, what a thing to say. It's shocking to hear when we're putting all of our trust into one person.
Yeah, because he is the lead investigator on this case. But yes, he served in the Army for a few years. He never had any police training when he was hired on at the Moscow Police Department. He wasn't used to police training. He came to the police department straight from the Army. And I know Moscow is a small town. Do they just hire any Joe Blow off the street to be a police officer and not send them through some type of police academy? Or does Moscow even have a police academy? Do they just hire people off the street?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the question that we all have in the back of our minds, all of us who are trying to keep an objective, all of us who are trying to keep it, startled me, an objective opinion about this is what we want to know more than anything else is, because this is gagged and sealed and we can't see exactly what's going on, was everything done correctly? Were BK's constitutional rights preserved when they collected this evidence and throughout the chain of command? I'm sorry. Yeah. I can't. Anyway, were BK's constitutional rights preserved? Because although we are fighting for justice for these 4 beautiful people, the other point is there are rules. And if we don't make sure we're upholding these rights, which make us unique to any other country in the world, then what do we have? It's the deterioration of our society if we don't do things right. We have to play fair and play by the rules. And so I think that that's just the scariest thing, when we don't really know the full picture of that PCA when we read it.
Yeah. I see you introduced something to the stage.
Yeah. He's going to go hide under the desk now. Robert, in the audience, I'm just going to turn the camera off for a second. I'm just going to go grab a drink in the other room. I'll be right back. I just want to bring up my text, just so you know what's going on.
I've been here in Moscow on scene since about 3 p.m. Since I've been here, I've watched Moscow police cars come in and out of this neighborhood, where officials found 4 people dead. Neighbors say they began noticing police cars flood the area around 12 p.m. today. Moscow police say they responded to a call here on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon further investigation, officials found 4 people dead. While police investigated the scene, the University of Idaho enacted a shelter-in-place alert as university officials reported a homicide near campus. As we've stated, that alert is lifted at this time. Neighbors say most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students, but we do not know the identities of those involved or who lives at the residence. Officials are investigating. This is a very much developing situation, and we will continue to stay on the grounds until we have more information to report back to you. Until then, in Moscow, Janelle Finch, Krem 2 News.
Not your kid? Not your problem.
So police still have the University of Idaho taped off. This right here.
Yes.
Robert, I'm something's going on with my StreamYard. I can't see any of my comments, so I just wanted everyone to know, because I just saw my phone and I saw I had comments from my. I was like, where are my mods? But so I just wanted to say I apologize to anyone if you were talking to me. I can't see my comments for some reason, and also Robert, I just noticed you're streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't even know you had a Twitch account. So,
Yep.
All right, well, we'll share it in Discord. Sorry to interrupt everybody.
That's all right.
Is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard reports of a homicide investigation near the college campus. An hour later, the school put out an alert on social media. It said Moscow PD is investigating a homicide on King Road. They asked the community to stay away from the area and shelter in place as a precaution. Around 3 in the afternoon, Krem 2 arrived in Moscow. Neighbors said most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students. At around 5 in the evening, the Moscow Police Department confirmed they had found 4 people dead, but it wasn't until late last night that they confirmed those victims were students. The university also said Moscow police do not think there's any active threat at the moment as they continue their investigation. Classes for University of Idaho students are canceled for the day. They say they will resume classes tomorrow. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, Krem 2 News.
Moscow police responded to King Road for a call about an unconscious person Sunday afternoon. When police arrived, they found...
Now, here's the thing. Who was unconscious?
Big question, Robert. Well, I'd love to know your theory to start out with. Who do you think it was? We've talked about this with so many different people.
Yeah. I honestly think that since Moscow is so small, that the 911 dispatcher put the unalivings in as a unconscious person, because according to Hunter Johnson, he came over that morning because he had plans with Ethan. Even though the 2 surviving roommates called him over, he states in an interview that he had plans with Ethan that day, so he was going to come over anyway, and he couldn't get into Xana and Ethan's room. So I'm wondering if that's the reason why the ladder was propped up on the ledge, because Hunter Johnson could have used the ladder to climb up on the ledge and gain entry through that window into their room.
Absolutely, that's a distinct possibility for sure. would explain
because
a lot.
because a lot of you've seen a lot of pictures of that letter just laying there on the ground beside the house, and then all of a sudden it was propped up near that ledge. Could Hunter Johnson use that ladder to climb up on the ledge and into Xana and Ethan's bedroom window because he couldn't get in through the door in the house?
I totally think this is a possibility. Or I mean, we know that it's easy to get on the roof from there. We've seen people up on the roof. That's a known thing. Yeah, I could totally see that happening. And I can also see the ladder being possibly involved in the crime as well, at both ways. I also wanted to say, oh, sorry, Robert.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to say something about the fifth witness. So I've thought about this intensively, and what brought it up to me is Lucky, Unfiltered Lucky, did the video first. And then, and you know this, Robert, you know the story. Unfiltered Lucky did the video, and then AR did a whole video on it. And then I did my video on it, and Kara Willis did a video on it. So like, this has been going around for a while. And Unfiltered Lucky, as far as I know, contacted the reporter that gave that soundbite. And she said, yeah, that was the original report. And not only that, but on Twitter, I have the original. There were 4 pictures somebody sent me, and I have the text messages from that reporter stating, oh yeah, we did get that wrong. There was a fifth brought to the hospital. So I thought on this for so long. And the conclusion that I came up with, and I mean, I wasn't prepared to speak on this tonight, so I don't have like my receipts with me or anything. But the decision that I came up with after hearing all of this is that it possibly was Dylan. And I specifically say her because I would assume she'd be the first one to stumble on the crime scene. And that's just pure speculation. But I would think one of the roommates or somebody there, I shouldn't just say Dylan or DM, we should say, but somebody there who maybe stumbled on the crime scene, because they said somebody was on, I heard initial reports, not just reports of the 911 call, that somebody passed out. So I'm wondering if that person was rushed to the hospital, and I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out.
Yeah, Angelique says, think about it. The inner circle, the frat, the sorority sisters. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, instead of calling the police, why would they call the frat and the sorority over there instead of calling the police? And then when they did call the police, you had these people passing the phone around in a circle when they called 911 from one of the quote unquote surviving roommates' phones, and the phone was being passed around in a circle while they were on the phone with them.
Yeah. I can't, when you were first saying that, you brought up another point too, and it just escaped me. I'm just trying to think what you were saying at the very beginning of that. Sorry, short-term memory. Yeah, anyway, I think that these are the freaking perplexing things that we just can't wrap our head around. And when the case comes, we're ready to break it down.
Yeah, Angelique Flores says exactly. That's what I'm saying. The friends all knew before law enforcement.
Oh, that I remembered what I was going to say. So you were talking about the frats. So yeah. This doesn't negate anything. I'm just saying what we found when we were researching the frats, and I talked to somebody that I know who was in a fraternity and confirmed this, is that most of the time, anything that calls authorities, you first contact the head of the fraternity, whether it's right or wrong. That's what they've been programmed to do. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Oh, hey, look at this, Kiki.
Oh, hey, Jeff. Haven't seen you in a few days. Hope you're doing good.
Jeff H became a YouTube member of my channel.
Thanks for welcoming Robert back with the membership.
deceased students inside the home. This morning, the city of Moscow and University of Idaho identified all 4 U of I students. Freshman Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Zaina Kernodle, a junior from Post Falls, was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Madison Mogan was a senior from Coeur d'Alene, and Kaylee Gonsalves was a senior from Rathdrum.
This is a pretty traumatic situation for our campus community.
Dean of Students Blaine Eccles says news of the suspected homicide shocked the Vandal community.
This is rocking their world. Many of them come from small communities where things like this have never happened.
He says drop-in counseling is available to students at any time. But he recognizes that many students have already returned home early for the upcoming holiday.
People need to navigate through this situation in the way that best suits them. If students need to go home, be closer with their families, want to return home, I support them in doing that. We're going to support them in doing that.
Support for U of I goes beyond the university campus. Businesses throughout the city of Moscow are offering prayers and thoughts for the Vandal community. And because Moscow is a tight-knit community with a strong relationship with the university, this response isn't a surprise to Mayor Art Bettage.
I feel very badly for them, and not just for the victims, but everybody else who's a friend and associate with those people.
He told me he was shocked by the news about what he's calling a senseless act of violence.
This is stuff that shouldn't happen, especially in a small, quiet town like Moscow is, where we're heavily involved with the university. And these are things that affect not just town, but the university, the students, lends everybody to a sense of insecurity about what's going on here and why. And it's a very tragic and sad situation all around.
In speaking with Kaylee Gonsalves' mother and sister, they tell me Kaylee was a strong and passionate go-getter. She even already had a job lined up in the tech industry after graduation. Kaylee was one of 5 Gonsalves' children. She graduated from Lake City High School, the same school as Maddie Mogan, another victim. Kaylee's family says the two were especially close, and Maddie was a part of their family as well. Kaylee's oldest sister, Olivia, shared a statement on behalf of the Gonsalves family. It reads in part, "Kaylee was, is, and always will be our defender and protector. She is tough and fair, the ultimate middle child. She did absolutely everything she set her mind to. She didn't hold back on love, fights, or life. Kaylee was the ultimate go-getter and constantly wanted an adventure." We still have a lot of questions about what happened. Also looking for answers is Kaylee's family. Kaylee's sister, Olivia, asked the public to stop spreading rumors about what happened and wait for the facts from police. We are continuing to ask our own questions and will continue to bring you updates as we get them. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Ethan Chapin, his brother and sister, all grew up here together. They went to school here together, and together they enrolled at the University of Idaho. 3 inseparable siblings, now torn apart.
Replay poker. As many of you have seen, because I've streamed it before,
you just couldn't ask for better kids.
Dave Hayton considered Ethan Chapin family, all the Chapin kids actually. He and his wife watched them grow up in their Conway neighborhood. They'd come over for fudgesicles from the basement freezer. When the couple heard what happened, they were crushed.
She's crying. And she says, Ethan's been murdered. And I just couldn't, you just can't get your head around it.
All 3 siblings attended the Conway School before moving on to Mount Vernon High, where Ethan played on the basketball team and graduated last year. All 3 later decided to attend the University of Idaho. Ethan and his brother were members of the same fraternity.
I know I didn't sleep a lot last night. I'm just thinking of them. We had some good times together.
The Haytons treated the kids like grandchildren. The couple shared these photos from Ethan's mom's Instagram page, this one taken just a few weeks ago at Parents' Weekend. Dave recalls Ethan as smart, athletic, and always respectful. He says all 3 were great kids, and having one of them gone is inconceivable.
I remember last night I woke up several times, and I think, gee, I wish somebody would just tell me this is a bad dream. But unfortunately, it's not a bad dream. It's a reality.
Still no word as to a potential motive in these killings, no word as to a potential suspect. However, authorities in Idaho do say that there is no threat to the public. In Conway, Washington, Eric Wilkinson for KREM 2 News.
No threat to the public, but yet there wasn't a killer named at the time.
Have you ever heard of such a thing, Robert? Like, and then walking back in future pressers and saying, well, there really wasn't any evidence of targeting. And that was the reasoning behind the community was safe, that this was a targeted, isolated. I mean, maybe we'll have some clarification to that language, but right now, it makes us all pause and say, what was the motive behind that? Like, what was the motive? Is this commerce? Like, we don't know. And I'm just speculating, but I mean, it baffles you, it baffles me. Why would you say there's no threat and lift this? And then we find out they didn't even have a suspect. They didn't have their eyes on anyone, but yet no threat. It is baffling. I hope we get answers once the trial starts.
Yeah, they put out a vandal alert, stay away from the area and then shelter in place. And what, 3 hours later, they lift the shelter in place?
Right.
Oh, there's no threat at this time.
And you know what else is weird, Robert, is just 12 minutes away at Wasu, I was listening to a podcast with one of BK's students named Cassie. And she said that it wasn't really until she was absorbing this after the Thanksgiving break, like how close to home this crime was. And granted, that sounds a little naive because she was only 12 minutes away, but her reasoning behind it was that the university, Wasu, acted as if it has nothing to do with them. This isn't any of our business, nothing to see here. Those were kind of her words verbatim. And so I just find it odd. Like, it's not just U of I. Wasu was like, that has nothing to do with us. They encourage their students to resume class and to resume their normal activities. So that's only 10 or 15 minutes away. If you think of a neighborhood that has a violent crime or an active pow or an active anything, they're going to shut everything down. It's going to include 12 minutes away, likely, or 10 minutes away. It's just so bizarre. I don't know, but these are the questions we have to keep asking because we want answers once that trial starts.
Oh, yes.
Get forgotten.
Twizzle just said, they don't care about the kids, they care about the money. Talking about the U of I.
God, let's hope that's wrong, Twiz.
Angelique Flores said, what happened in darkness will soon come to light. Justice for the beautiful 4 students.
Well said. Thank you. Good comment. If you're on my channel, I give you a star.
We've watched this memorial grow.
Yeah, she's Angelique is watching us from Bakersfield.
Oh, really? Well, thank you for joining us from Bakersfield. Shout out to Bakersfield.
All day long, students dropping off flowers and stuffed animals, remembering the 4 young lives that were lost. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions tonight, like how this happened and why.
Like, it's all just shocking and scary. Like, I never would have thought that this would have happened here.
Tonight, yellow crime tape still surrounds the house where 4 young college students were found dead over the weekend, a crime shocking the University of Idaho community. Classes were canceled today, and some students have decided to go on Thanksgiving break early.
A lot of people left last night, and then we were like, I know we were like one of the only ones who actually stayed here last night. My mom has called me every single hour for since 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah, they want me to come home if I don't feel safe.
Moscow police have not said much about what exactly happened, but they have released the names of the victims. 2 of them, Zana Kernodle, a junior from Post Falls, and Madison Mogan, a senior from Coeur d'Alene, were servers at the Mad Greek restaurant in downtown Moscow. The restaurant posted on Facebook saying the 2 brought so much joy to the restaurant and all they encountered. Mad Greek is now closed, giving staff time to grieve along with the rest of the community.
And the university is planning a vigil for the victims. That's taking place at 5 p.m. on Wednesday on the lawn outside the administration building. In Moscow, Kyle Simchuk, Krem 2 News.
The esteemed detective William Murdoch. I heard you quit. Suppose things change.
Two days after the murder, Moscow maintained there was no threat to the public, but declined to answer questions. And this was 2 days after the murder.
I don't know what to even think. I don't know what to think.
Angelique says, you're welcome. Thank you guys for doing this show. Couldn't watch it without you guys, the true crime.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. The chat makes the biggest difference. We get to hear real time what your thoughts are and respond to them. So thank you for being in the live chat. We really appreciate your questions.
Yes, thank you, Angelique, for being here.
Well, the Moscow Police Department hasn't added any new information since they released a press release this morning about the homicide investigation. But a few hours ago, we did speak with the Latah County coroner. Kathy Mabbitt is calling all four deaths homicides, and that the cause of death is likely a stabbing. But we won't know that for certain until the autopsy report comes back and she can make that official ruling. Now, to take that a step further, Latah County contracts its autopsies out to the Spokane County Medical Examiner. And I confirmed this afternoon that Spokane County is in fact conducting the autopsies on the 4 University of Idaho students. Now, the Spokane County spokesperson says the medical examiner has not yet started those autopsies. Once they are done, the medical examiner will forward her recommended findings to the Latah County coroner. And the Moscow Police Department or the Latah County coroner will release the official ruling. Now, this afternoon, when we talked to the coroner, she described
You're doing a good job,
crime
Sirius.
scene.
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene.
Mabbitt adds that she does not believe the toxicology report on each of the 4 University of Idaho students will be relevant to the manner or cause of death. Now, Mabbitt has been the county coroner for 16 years in Latah County. She says in that time, there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that she's been involved in. But she says this current homicide investigation is the only one she's been to where there are 4 people at one scene. Now, we are continuing to press local authorities like the Moscow Police Department, as well as the Latah County prosecutor. I have made multiple calls into their offices yesterday and today, have not got a call returned from either agencies. Now, we know there are University of Idaho students, their families, and the greater Moscow community, many of which are still concerned for their safety, even though the police department says there is no active threat to the community. So that is why we remain here in Moscow pressing for answers. And once we do get those, we'll continue to keep you updated. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
2 of the 4 University of Idaho students who died on Sunday, Xana and Maddie, both worked here at Mad Creek Restaurant. The restaurant has closed its doors for now, and they have also put out a memorial for all 4 of those students.
Tucked inside a Main Street restaurant bench is a memorial catching the community's attention, including Annalise Mitchell. She's a sophomore at University of Idaho.
I just wanted to kind of take a moment to remember them.
Annalise is one of many students struggling to process the death of 4 fellow classmates.
It's been surreal, devastating, horrific, honestly.
Annalise knew the 4 students from the university's Greek life.
When I did talk to them, they were just nothing but kind and nothing but bright and positive, and they definitely made an impact on everyone that they've met.
Now, as classes resume today, many students are leaving campus.
People can't even focus on their schoolwork. Like my sisters and I, we've tried to do our homework and it's not possible.
Annalise says for her friends that are still here, she's just being supportive.
Nothing will be the same. At least we're all here for each other and just remembering.
But that community doesn't take away the pain.
Just angry, honestly, because again, these It's 4 people. It's 4 people that have touched so many lives and have touched my friends, and to see them in such grief and suffering, it just makes me angry.
In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
It's not something you ever expect to hear.
Through the tears and shock, Jim and Stacy Chapin described the moment they found out their son Ethan was gone.
It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors and the FBI and have it hit national news.
Earlier this week,
Pause
Moscow
for 1
police
second.
identified
Robert, can you
Chapin
just
as one
pause
of the
for 1
4.
second? So I can't, I'm sorry, I just have to make a blanket statement for my live chat because I can't see all of the comments. I can only see them on my phone. And I just want to say, if you cannot, please do not call out other creators in the live chat.
Yes.
If you did call out another creator, because I couldn't see it and I can't zap it from where I am, please erase the comment. If you are, do not use people's first and last names, because although we have differences and we might talk, we don't want to mess with anybody's brand. It's policy on YouTube. So let's just not call out people's names in the chat. And we can use initials. We can talk about the situation, but we have to be careful because we don't have all the answers. We only know what we can see, you know, and when saying, you know, so I'm not trying to discourage talk in the chat, but we have to not use people's first and last names. And if we could just please go up and erase those comments that would be great. Anyway, I'm so sorry to be a bitch, but it is what it is.
Victims killed in the home just off campus. Stacy and Jim said their son was staying with his girlfriend at the house, who was also killed, Xana Kernodle. So far, police haven't released many details about the investigation, and as questions mount, the Chapins say they wanted to make sure Ethan's story was told.
It's important for us to get Ethan's story out. We don't really want anybody else representing him. And it's hard to have people speaking on his behalf. So we think it's best for us to do this.
He's the kind of kid that everybody wanted to be around. You know, he was just a good kid.
He's a good kid.
That
kind to all.
Didn't deserve what happened.
No.
They say Ethan was a triplet. He and his siblings were extremely close. In fact, they all decided to attend the University of Idaho. Jim says Ethan was an athletic kid who played club soccer and refereed youth sports. His smile, he says, lit up a room, and he made friends wherever he went. They had just spent last weekend at the university for Parents' Weekend.
And as we pulled out of Moscow, we literally were like, we've done it. We've literally done it as parents. We've created 3 incredible humans that will go on and have something great to offer to this world. Honestly, all 3 of them.
A week later, as they grapple with this horrific loss, they say they're determined to keep moving forward for Ethan.
But we will not let this sink us or sink our kids, because if anything, they have to go on and shine Ethan's bright light on their own.
I never thought that the shirt I wore to school one spring morning.
Hey, we got a comment here in the chat. The first newscast said a 5th roommate was in the hospital. And this is coming from Adam and E Proton.
Adam, we totally validate what you say. And like we said, we have colleagues here on YouTube who have actually gone to the reporter to validate that was the original report. And I have receipts on Twitter. I have text message receipts. Of course, I can't prove, you know, I didn't collect them, but they have the people who shared them, their names attached in their stories, screenshots of text messages saying, oh my gosh, yes, there was a 5th victim. I didn't report that afterwards. But yeah, those initial reports appear to be accurate. Whether that was somebody who was a victim of the crime or somebody who stumbled upon the crime and was victimized by seeing the scene, I don't know.
Angelique says, in my opinion, I heard the same thing.
We validate you.
warning would lead to a federal lawsuit. But the reaction from the adults running my school didn't leave me.
Moscow Police Chief James Fry, University of Idaho President Scott Green, and the Director of Idaho State Police, Colonel Kendrick Wills, all spoke at today's press conference. Before Wednesday's press conference, Moscow Police had only told the public the 4 students were found dead inside the home late Sunday morning. Wednesday, they revealed that all 4 victims were stabbed to death. Chief Fry says 2 other roommates were at the home during the attack, but were not injured, and he is not calling them witnesses. He said they were also home when police arrived at the house. Fry did not say why the call to police was not until noon on Sunday.
Okay, why did Jen just get banned?
Well, I banned her because she's calling out people's names and she's accusing my mod of being in on some sort of scheme. And I asked to stop saying names about other creators, and then several more came up. I'm sorry, but I can't take that. Okay. That's not fair to do to other creators. And we did ask nicely for you to stop. We'll unban you, but if you can't listen to what we're saying, maybe you have the volume down and you don't know that we said that's not okay. So I'm sorry. We'll unban you afterwards.
I mean, you're a mod on my channel, Kiki, so you do what you need to do.
Oh, I thought it was my channel. I'm sorry.
No, it's on mine.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry.
No, actually, no, it was on yours, but it was coming through on mine as well.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry. I'm a guest on Robert's show, so if I messed with any of his viewers, I do apologize.
No, you didn't. It was coming through with it was on your side, but it was coming through with the little link message.
Okay.
So you did ban her on your side, but you're also a mod on my channel. So if you see anything in my chat that's doing the same thing that Jen did, time them out, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, we're not about the drama on YouTube. We don't need beef with any other creators. We have enough people naturally coming after us.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And I made Sirius a mod on my channel too.
I think that was a good move. She's one of the best mods to have on your team. She's got that positive energy.
Sunday, when the attack happened in the early morning hours. Police said it appeared to be a targeted attack, but did not explain why. Moscow police have also been saying that they do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the community. But today, the tone changed. Police say the search for a suspect continues and people should look out for each other. Meantime, we found this video from a Moscow food truck that's from early Sunday morning. It shows 2 of the students, Kaylee and Maddie, ordering food around 1:40 a.m. This is one of the last times they were seen. Moscow police say this video is helping investigators recreate a timeline of events from that night.
And it has helped. It gives us a time and space where we know that 2 of our victims were, and that helps us a ton, and we'll continue to follow up all leads that we can.
The family of Kaylee Gonsalves have seen the video and agreed to let us publish it. They identified Maddie Mogan wearing the long black jacket and Kaylee, who is with her in the...
I've heard a lot of stuff around the grub truck that it's a open air drug market. Like there's a lot of drug deals that go on in and around that grub truck. You know, like the gentleman right here, the big heavyset gentleman. His name is Joe Vito, and if you look at like the unedited grub truck footage, you can see him passing something to a female as she's walking by, and then he gives her the nod, like he nods at her, and then she walks away.
I saw on Neek's Peaks once, and I don't remember which character it was at the grub truck, and I don't remember what the timestamp is. It was so long ago. But Neek's Peaks actually zoomed in on, I mean, it absolutely looked like a drug exchange. And just to build on what you're saying, it looked like that. I don't know what it was. I mean, she could have been handing anything. He could have been handing anything to her. But what you're saying about the open air, drug market, I don't know necessarily about that, but Robert, you're right. If you're at a college and you're a dealer and you're looking for the place to find the most concentrated people that might, where would you go? Probably to the grub truck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a distinct possibility.
Just like Adam and Eve Proton. White jacket girl and green sweater guy with a fresh golf club lump on his head.
Oh, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, that's an interesting story, and I heard it on Crime Circus, and we dove into it a little. Again, it's one of those things, like, we have to actually believe the police investigated. I know he got, I don't think there was like a report on it. I think that was one of the, or like they went there to arrest him or something and they didn't. Do you know what the details of that are?
No, I do not.
Like why they were there that night for him. But I know there wasn't an arrest made at that time. It was for a sign, wasn't it? For a sign? Like
I think so. I'm not sure. But
I know Mitch.
Yeah, I would like to know how this red Mustang comes into the scenario, or it comes into the theory about them finding a red Mustang that smelled of bleach and it had blood stains in it. I'd like to know where that came from.
Where did they find it?
I can't remember where they found it at, but I know they found it abandoned and it's reeked of bleach and there was blood stains in it.
Blood stains?
Yeah.
When did they find it?
It was around the same time as they were looking for Brian's car, for that Hyundai Elantra. They found the red Mustang a couple of weeks before they put out the thing about the 2011 to 2013 Elantra, and then they changed it to a 15 Elantra, and then the 16 Elantra.
Because I've heard vaguely, but I wasn't sure. I mean, I trust you because you were doing your sleuthing when you found this. But look, I didn't know if it was rumor, if it was a 4chan thing, if it was like actually something reported on by local news. That's an interesting topic. Because I wonder what happened to it. Like, did they test the blood or find the owner or figure out why?
No, it was pretty much well swept under the carpet.
It's weird.
The entire investigation into the red Mustang was swept under the rug.
Wait, what does Adam Proton say there? Red Mustang is private driver's
personal car.
I never heard of the Mustang being affiliated with the private driver before. I'd be interested, Adam and E Proton, where you heard that connection.
And Wanda says,
because there's a lot of stuff with the private driver.
Yeah, Wanda woman says, I remember that, Robert.
Well, we'll have to take it down on our notes and try and figure out source on that. That's a good one. So Mustang and private driver. Okay.
The red Mustang, I'm sure, shows up at the grub truck. All we see in the grub truck is, because it's dark out, all we see is like the headlights and then a brief shot of the taillights as as Maddie and Kaylee are going towards the car.
Okay. And that was from Paul Clark. Hi, Paul. Thanks for showing up tonight. Sorry I missed your Discord alert earlier. Apologize. The girls were running in Linda Lane. Audio can't be at the grub truck and running at Linda Lane at the same time. What? Rodney. Okay, wait. Put that back up for a second. I just want to hear what I want to see Rodney's comment. The girls were running in Linda Lane. Audio. can't be at Grub Truck running in Linda Lane at the same time. What part? I'm just saying we're looking at them. Like, I don't know. What is he saying, Robert? What, Rodney? I'm sorry. I'm just don't understand.
I think he believes that they were at Linda Lane instead of the Grub Truck, but we see them right here in the Grub Truck footage.
Yeah, I wonder, Rodney, if you could, just so we're not dismissing what you're saying, if you could drop the stamp on Linda Lane that's causing you to think that they were in the audio, we will definitely explore it. We're definitely not dismissive of any theory that anybody wants to, explore, I guess, within reason. But yeah,
Rodney says it's edited.
It's been edited out. Well, yes, we know the Linda Lane. We can't trust that it hasn't been edited, but all right. Well, maybe what's the original timestamp that you thought it was?
Okay. What was War says, keep up the good work, Robert. Stay awesome, Swamp Rose.
Oh, thank you.
See you later.
Thank you for being here. Welcoming Robert back to his first live stream on YouTube in 30 days.
White sweatshirt.
It's normally a place where everyone feels really safe.
Joseph Woodall is the manager of the Grub Truck. He is seen in the video working the cash register, taking the girl's order. This afternoon, he described their interaction with me.
One of the blondes was just a little bit more cheery and kind of bouncing around a little bit more. And then one was like standing there and doing the hello, how are you? And goes through the interactions. And normally that's pretty normal. In most of our groups, there's people that are more energetic and people that are managing the energetic people.
Joseph told me he felt incredibly sad when he learned the news about the girls he had just seen the other night.
I hope they find the person. Hope they get the person.
Thanks, Glenn.
Definitely a somber mood at tonight's game. Quite a few empty seats in the student section as well. A lot of them have gone home early for Thanksgiving break, but we talked to students that decided to stick around. They were at tonight's game and they told us they were happy the university didn't cancel this, gave them a chance to see some of their friends, classmates, and somewhat sense of normalcy. A lot of them telling us they won't feel entirely safe on campus until this murderer is caught.
Basketball fans, this time, we ask that you please stand and join us in a moment of silence for the 4 University of Idaho students that were tragically taken from us on Sunday.
The names of the 4 students found murdered inside a home near campus were read aloud before tonight's game. The Moscow community still in shock.
Definitely like a ghost town here. Weird seeing everyone just pack up and leave.
Like many other students, Jessica Jacobs and Asha Cummings haven't been going
Good
to
night,
class
American
and say they
Princess.
don't feel as safe alone or on campus as they did a week ago.
The only reason we're still here is because we had a little trip planned going opposite of our homes, but we've been staying together every night, trying to stay as safe as we can, but we definitely aren't going to go home early.
The question of safety is on everyone's mind right now.
During a press conference this afternoon, University of Idaho officials said they've increased campus patrols and students can request a security escort across campus day or night. The university is also excusing all absences.
That if they want to leave and go home now, they absolutely can. We're going to support them in doing so.
Classes were canceled the day after the 4 bodies were found, but resumed on Tuesday. School officials say some students want to keep their minds occupied.
They gain comfort in being around their other students. They gain comfort from interacting and staying busy with their faculty.
I like that comment from Twiz. Staying together clearly didn't keep anyone safe.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? Oh, wait, I'm on mute. Oh, sorry. Isn't that shocking? Like, that's all you ever think is stick together, stay in pairs. That's what's going to deter people from deter you from being a victim. Oh gosh, that's such a chilling. Good point. Was star that comment. And then Angel D is here. Angel, welcome to the live stream. Lively up the chat. Wait, what does Paul say? Oh wait, the timestamp. I will try to find the timestamp. Never mind. Sorry.
No, we're fine.
What happened?
Oh, sorry. We had some severe storms here last night, and her mom was just calling to check on us because she read in the newspaper there in Missouri that there were some towns here in Kansas that suffered some severe damage and lost electricity. So she just was calling to check to make sure we still had electricity.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad it's nothing serious.
Well, thank you, Purple Smurf.
I know, what a blessing. Thanks, Purple Smurf. Supporting Robert.
Yeah, you know that's the biggest super chat I have gotten ever.
Well, Robert, here's to more
Yep.
good super chats for you. This isn't real alcohol, if anyone's wondering. I don't drink, but
Oh yeah.
Purple Smurf says, can't figure out how the four were subdued.
I know, Purple Smurf. Totally. First thought that crossed my mind, particularly, I revisited it when Steve Gonzalez had that interview last October when they talked about the kill kit. And I'm like, why? I always thought the same thing. How did you subdue 4 people at once? I mean, if I were to speculate, like if I were to try and be in the mind of a killer, I'd think like maybe chloroform or a stun gun, but how? It's just mind blowing.
Annie Ruler just made a statement. At Heather, is Jen a creator?
I don't know. Are we still talking about the band? I don't know which Jen I banned. If I banned one of my Jens, I'm so sorry. It was just, I have to stop you from saying full last and names of other creators. And there was a lot of creators called out. And so, I mean, it's the only way I can protect my channel is to stop you from saying that. And I apologize. I'll unblock you afterwards. I do apologize. It's just something I had to do in the moment.
Hey, Jeff, would you like to come up and join us? I wonder if in the 1122 house, they regularly left the kitchen sliding glass door unlocked. I knew people in Maine that would throw their car keys up on the dash or go into a restaurant too trusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thought, but I mean, that's Maine. So this is a pretty densely populated neighborhood. I mean, not saying that, just look at the demographic. It's a small city. It's, it's not like a country little town in Maine, maybe. But I think the sliding glass door would be hard.
Heather just said Jen is on X as Gigi.
Oh.
Now, here's an interesting point. Glenn Hall says, 3rd floor, no sliding door. But, we saw that Kaylee's room had a sliding glass door.
So Kaylee's room did have a sliding glass door. Okay, when she said that, I was thinking, I didn't get that. But I thought she had a sliding glass door too.
Now, see, here's what I can't figure out, Kiki. Why didn't Maddie and Kaylee sleep in Kaylee's room? Because her bed was bigger. She had a queen size bed where Maddie had a twin size bed. And if something would have went down that night, they could have escaped out of that sliding glass door on the 3rd floor balcony of Kaylee's room.
You want to know my real thought? You want to know what I really think? Honestly, I don't know why they always say the girls were sleeping next to each other. And when you were talking about the coroner earlier, I actually wrote down some notes, and your chat even reflected what they were saying is like, how did the coroner, the coroner said in that video, which is so out of place to me, she said all 4 of them were sleeping. And even at that preliminary time, even early on in the case, doesn't the coroner go to the scene and see that? Like Ethan was, from our accounts, so obviously maybe not sleeping, and Xana had defensive wounds, and Kaylee was in a fight for her life. There was a battle on the 3rd floor. It baffles me that she would come on TV after knowing that crime scene and then tell the general public, yeah, they were all sleeping. And so what I really think, getting back to what you were asking me, is like, okay, I don't know if this contradicts the evidence because we don't know what the evidence is. But from what I'm hearing, what I would assume, knowing that Murphy was in her room, is that she was in either visiting with Kaylee, or I'm visiting with Maddie, or she was in her room and she heard something happening and came out. And then hence that's when Dylan heard the dog playing, scream, shut the F up. And then that's when Kaylee screamed out to warn everyone, there's someone here. And then next, of course, we hear the
what if it wasn't Kaylee screaming that? No, what if it wasn't Kaylee screaming that? What if it was Xana? Because according to everything that night, Xana got a DoorDash delivery. So, and they did find her DoorDash bag sitting in the kitchen on the counter.
Mm-hmm.
So what if Xana came out of her room to put her food on the counter, and she looked over and saw the door open when it wasn't open before? So it could have been Xana saying, "There's someone here."
Yeah, I've thought that too before. I don't know. I'm going back to the PCA. DM does specifically say she heard Kaylee, or does she say she thought to be Kaylee? Does she say, when the PCA she says she heard what thought to be Kaylee, or does she say she heard?
She heard what she thought was the sound of Kaylee saying, "There's someone here." And if you're now, her door was shut. Dylan's door was shut. So, saying what she thought she heard the sound of Gonzalez saying, "There's someone here." It could have been not Kaylee saying that. It could have been Xana saying that when Xana discovered the backsliding glass door open.
Mm-hmm.
When it wasn't probably wasn't open when they got home, or when her and Ethan retired to her bedroom, and she got the DoorDash delivery. She could have took the DoorDash into the kitchen to set it down there on the counter, and then she looked over. Hey, this was closed a minute ago. There's someone here.
Absolutely. I mean, it totally could have played out like that. What about this? What about, like, let's just say BK is the one who did this, and coach, we're innocent until proven guilty. We're just speculating here. But like, could it have been that maybe he was in the house when she got the DoorDash? And then she got the food and yelled, "There's someone here," when she heard the same noise that Dylan heard. And I don't know why the DoorDash order was in the kitchen, but that to me says something, because if the DoorDash was delivered at 4:05 and like how, like, why was it in the kitchen? Like, do you think she took the bag in and finished the food by then and rebagged it and put it on the counter? Or did the bag never make it out of the kitchen? I mean, we have had AR come onto our channel and really break down how he feels there was a battle in the kitchen. It looked like they had been tearing things apart, either the people collecting evidence because there was so much to collect, or there was a struggle in the kitchen that knocked things over. But just speculating thoughts out there.
Yeah, Angelique says, if you notice, Dylan and Bethany were the only ones with all this information about they were all asleep. They heard a whimpering. Then she heard someone say, "I'm here to help you." And then, she described it. Dylan basically gave a very generic statement as, 5'10" or taller. athletically built, not muscular, bushy eyebrows. It's a very generic description of anybody on the campus of the U of I.
Yeah, pretty much from the people we've seen. Why isn't Jeff's oh, they are showing. Wait, hold on. DoorDash bag in the kitchen. Thank you. I appreciate it. DoorDash bag in the kitchen doesn't have a date on it, unfortunately. I'm not certain it's from that night. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we know it does say Xana. So they did ask for the DoorDash. So they subpoenaed the DoorDash deliveries for 3 months back. And I was told the other day, somebody, I don't remember where they heard it, but somebody had told me they had heard that was so they could see habits. I don't know why they requested 3 months of that, but maybe that's why, to find out if it was from the night before. I don't know. But all of our guesses are as good as the next because we just don't have the answers. Yeah, so there was a hell of a battle down there. And that, Wanda, that makes me think, was that in the kitchen? Was that in the hallway? Was that in the bedroom? And I get so confused about that situation because I could see where in the situation of Maddie and Kaylee, it would have nearly been impossible with the quickness and the violence. You know, if Maddie was first and Kaylee was second, if she walked in on it, it would have been impossible to call 911. But what I don't understand is in the scenario of Xana and Ethan, how is it that Xana, sorry, my dog is snoring. That's what that noise is. How is it that Xana didn't get out a 911 call or tell her phone to call 911? Likewise, if Ethan was secondary seeing Xana attacked, how is it that didn't happen? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just wondering, how is it that a distress call wasn't able to get out?
Yeah, just like LA just said, DoorDash staples the receipt on the outside of the bag. It would have the date on the receipt was still attached.
That's good to know. That's good. So they knew that day then. That answers that. They didn't need a subpoena to find out when that food came. I wonder if that food was ever eaten.
Well, see, just like you were saying, because Steve G has stated there was one hell of a battle going on the second floor, but he didn't say where. He didn't say the kitchen, the common area, the bedroom. All he said was one hell of a battle going on the second floor. If that's the case, that should have woken Dylan up. But we don't hear nothing about that.
Oh, I never thought of that too. If there was a battle on the second floor, is she mistaking the dog playing for something outside of her room versus something upstairs? The sound would definitely be distorted because, well, I don't know. I don't want to speak on this because I messed up the other night when I was trying to tell you where the rooms were located, but I don't know.
But I mean, I do not trust a thing Dylan says. I don't. Because of that 8-hour gap calling 911. She could call her friends, she could call her sorority, she could call the fraternity, but she can't call the cops. It makes you think.
It's what started this whole mystery in the first place. We thought.
And see, and it states in the PCA, Kiki, it states in the PCA, a forensic they digitally downloaded forensic records from Dylan and Bethany's phones. It didn't say downloaded text messages. It says forensic records. And I've heard this for a while now, that Dylan and Bethany were texting during the unalivings.
Yeah, I heard it from one place. We heard the source is Howard Bloom's sources. Howard Bloom is responsible for that reporting, and his sources.
Never mind.
Yeah, there you go. But back to the forensics.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and I'd love for the chat to elaborate on this a little bit. But my understanding with forensics, the forensic download of the phone is it's better than text messages. Because it's going to tell you, like, let's just say somebody texts something about, okay, let's just say you text, I went down the street. After the fact, if you wanted to cover up for that, you can go back and edit that text and say, you know, I went to the store. Okay, just hypothetical examples. But if you get a forensic download of the phone, it's going to cite every change of that text message. It's going to cite what was deleted. So I don't know, but I would love to hear from the chat. Is a forensic download satisfactory to know the text messages, or should they have just turned over their phones? I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, I've heard Christy and Steve elaborate on this. Ethan's parents got his phone back. Xana's parents got her phone back. The Gonzaleses are the only ones that have not got Kaylee's phone back. Is being held for evidence. All the other victims' families, the Mogans, the Cronodals, the Chapins, they've all got their children's phones back, except for Steve and Christy.
That's so weird. That's so weird, especially when they say there's no target, there's no connection. Why? And I vaguely remember that because that was one of those interviews we weren't expecting that kind of popped up. And I think it was in January that interview happened where Christy said that. And how troubling that she wouldn't be able to retrieve that one thing. I don't know. Is it a piece of evidence? We would know, I think the family would know. So is it not? I don't know. And then, like we were just saying, you have a forensic download. Why do you need the physical phone?
Yeah, because they downloaded the records off her Xana's phone, where it showed her being on the TikTok app at 4:12 in the morning. But with TikTok, it refreshes in the background, and it can open up by itself sometimes.
Right.
Just because there's TikTok activity is not proof of life. Just because there's a DoorDash delivery is not proof of life. Just because there's calls to an ex-boyfriend is not proof of life. And just like what Stacy Chapin said, 2 a.m. is a dark hour. Which, what is that? Because that was the last text message Ethan sent out. And if you noticed on the Banfield when they were doing the alcohol stop, you had 4 or 5 people on body cam either fast walking or running from the house at 3:14 in the morning.
And Robert, that bothers me too, because we're sitting there watching them stop these other people who were running through the Banfield, but yet there's people running right by them and they don't even stop them. Like, why? What's the discrimination there between the two different groups of people? I don't know I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just asking the question, because you could have, it's something you would have sensed or heard when we look at that body cam footage and we see those people running by. Why weren't they questioned? I'm sure there's an answer. I'm just wondering what it is.
Yeah. I do have a video pulled up that talks about the injury patterns.
Okay.
That kind of throws shade a little bit on Kathy Mabbitt, because from the beginning she said they were more than likely asleep, and they were all stabbed in their beds. But yet, there was clear signs on Ethan of not stab wounds, sharp force injuries.
Oh gosh, I have plenty to say on this. I'll wait till after your video though. You're gonna play a video on this, right?
Yeah.
I'll save all my comments to the end. I got a lot. I'm in a really talkative mood tonight. I don't know what it is. High strung tonight.
Let me get it pulled up really quick. I got to find which folder I put it in.
Robert, I have to say, your microphone is so good. I know you made a little investment before you left YouTube, but it looks like you've tweaked it, or whatever you've done, but the audio is excellent tonight. Just want to let you know.
I bought a new soundboard for it.
Oh, I should take advice from you.
Yeah, I was always going out and buying the expensive soundboards. I found one at Walmart for $30 and it works just fine.
All right, we'll have to talk afterwards, and you'll have to give me some pointers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to turn off my camera for a second while you're pulling that up. I'll be right back.
You know, the chat's hopping tonight. We have 99 people watching.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I was saying thank you to everyone who's joining us. If you weren't here at the beginning of the live stream, this is True Crime Colt's first live stream back since in 30 days. So we're so happy to kick it off with a good crowd and an awesome live chat. Great comments, great questions tonight. Please keep them coming. We got a good soundbite coming up. Robert's going to talk a lot about the injuries and yeah.
Yep. I just got to find it.
So Jeff H says, I'm just gonna, oh, it's right there. Hold on. Jeff H says, what's not to say? Those people running past the, because Jeff and I have had this discussion at least 3 or 4 times. What's not to say? These people running past the light weren't coming from the big apartment building on Taylor Ave. The Banfield cops were full block away from the murder house. Okay, so let's talk about this. I think we're talking about 2 different runners. Like what? Because there was one scene, we know when the body cam sees it, when I don't know what his last name initial is. I don't want to say his name, but we know the other bushy eyebrow guy that we always talk about, and the group of the 4 of them. That's when the body cam shows it. And the police, the apartment building's right here, and the police is standing here. He turned that way. So we turned towards the street and it caught it. And then when Brian Enton went out there, they recreated the scene. And so my question to you, Jeff, is, well, then, what? So my question,
I'm just getting pulled up. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question to Jeff would be, so Jeff, if that's the case, then why did, when Brian Enton went out there with News Nation to investigate this and to show where the runners were, why did they have the exact path right there? If it was actually coming from the apartment building on the other side, how did they make that big of a mistake when they were reporting on this? Or are we talking about 2 separate sets of runners? Because I don't know. I'm not going to name the creator's name, but I did see a video that suggested that they were coming from that direction. They showed 2 different runners, and I don't know where that comes from. So I guess what it boils down to is I don't know. And I'd like to revisit the Banfield. I don't know why everyone is saying, I think they're coming from the apartment building, when we had, you know, one of the largest mainstream reporters go out there and recreate it, going to the frats from the 1122 King Road home. I'm not saying it means anything. I'm just saying they had a flashlight at the 1122 King Road home and they flickered it, showing the kids running towards the fraternity. If they were coming from another direction, how did they make that mistake?
Oh yeah, you talk about the Brian Enton, where he was standing there at the end of the alley, and one of his producers was standing up there by the house, and the producer was clicking the flashlight to show the exact direction where those kids were running from.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. So Jeff, I'm just curious. And Jeff, I'm not calling you out. I just want to know why you think they're on the other side. Is it? I don't know.
JB says Kiki always does that. We're used to her talking while she's being muted.
I feel like a jerk. I'm sorry.
Autopsies on the 4 students found each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker, and there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes, there were multiple stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
So Kaylee's injuries were significantly more brutal, but they were sleeping together in Maddie's room. So that helps put the puzzle together.
The father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. Yeah. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
Ethan was stayed the night at his girlfriend's house, who was one of 5 girls who lived in the home.
They say his girlfriend, Xana Kernodle, was one of the other victims and that they were in the same room in the house.
From a forensic perspective, traumatic injuries can be divided into 2 categories: blunt trauma and sharp force trauma. Blunt trauma results from an impact with a dull, firm surface or object. Blunt trauma is typically caused by contact with a solid, firm surface, such as the floor or ground, or an object like a fist, bat, or bottle. Blunt trauma injuries include abrasions, bruises, contusions, hematomas, avulsions, fractures, and lacerations. Sharp force trauma describes an injury produced by an instrument with a thin edge or point, i.e. sharp cutting instruments. Sharp force injuries include stab wounds, incised wounds, and chop wounds. So this term, sharp force injury, encompasses essentially these 3 separate but related injury types. Stab wounds or puncture wounds are produced by sharp pointed objects, wherein the direction of force is more perpendicular to the skin surface as opposed to tangential or parallel. In most instances, the wound is deeper than it is long on the skin surface. In contrast, incised wounds or cut wounds are produced by sharp-edged objects, wherein the direction of force is more tangential or parallel to the skin surface as opposed to perpendicular. In most circumstances, the wound is longer on the skin surface than it is deep. Chop wounds can be considered a combination of sharp and blunt force trauma, wherein a relatively bulky object with an edge or a fast-moving object with an edge impacts the body, resulting in injuries that have features of sharp force trauma as well as those of blunt force trauma. Sharp force wound edges are characteristically sharp, clean, unbruised, unabraded, and inverted. There is no tissue bridging, and the injuries tend to be more linear. The deeper tissues are cut cleanly in the same plane. Most fatalities caused by sharp force are homicides. The most frequent cause of death in homicides caused by sharp force is exsanguination because of injuries to major vessels. How fast death will occur depends on the number of vascular hits, the type of vessels affected, and their size. In this context, not only the amount of blood loss, but also the speed of blood loss is a deciding factor. As one might guess, the scene of death in cases due to sharp force injury are frequently extremely bloody, although this is not always the case. Oftentimes, when skin injuries are gaping open, blood freely flows out of the body, resulting in extensive external blood loss. This may be particularly evident in cases with large, gaping, incised wounds. In contrast, in some cases with sharp force injuries, particularly stab wounds, the wound edges remain relatively well approximated and there is extensive internal bleeding but little external blood.
You still winning big at Chumba Casino?
Absolutely.
AR says that too, Mark and Betty. Oh, he doesn't say specifically golf. He speculates it could be a golf club.
Yeah. And right there. It was one hell of a battle going on down there from what the coroner told us.
Yeah. And then contrast that, Robert, with the other soundbite that you showed of the coroner saying they were all sleeping. It's like, what is going on? You know, it's what makes this case so mysterious to all of us.
And welcome to this Thursday edition of Banfield. I want to begin with some breaking news on the Idaho murder case. A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this.
This is a good soundbite, Robert. Damn.
It's in direct conflict with what the coroner and the police are saying. I think the coroner don't know what the heck she's talking about. She wasn't the one that did the autopsies. Spokane did the autopsies.
Okay, so this is like the biggest thing too, is that soundbite, whatever her source is, let's just think about the two things we just freaking heard. Ethan was in the doorway, which contradicts like everything that we're talking about now.
That Kathy Mabbitt is saying.
Right, and it even contradicts, and I don't know if maybe this is because it was early on, but Facebook's post from the in-laws of, Ethan's in-laws, and I believe Xana's aunt it was, that Nina showed me a clip of, and don't quote me on that. That's I'm trying to recall. But they both said they were both in the room. And then in that 2 a.m. soundbite that you showed with the Chapins earlier, they say it too. They were in their room. So what is that source trying to tell News Nation? And then the other thing that she said is that he had a slash on the throat. And we haven't heard that before. And then I saw a good comment by Toes. It was way up there, so I doubt you'd find it. But he said something along the lines of 57, wounds on Kaylee. It sounds like the hell of the battle was going on upstairs, not downstairs. Just kind of like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, Doodlebug for it says, great live, Robert. Sorry I can't stay. I have to work.
Oh, thank you for showing up, Doodlebug. We appreciate you
Thank
supporting
you,
Rob
Doodlebug.
on his first night back.
I just saw a comment from Wanda.
Okay.
Yep, E in the doorway and X up against Xana up against the wall, according to the PCA.
Wait. Oh, you put. Yep, Ethan in the doorway, an X up against the wall, according to the PCA. Did they say that in the PCA? Ethan in the doorway? Ethan's body in the doorway? Do they say that in the PCA? I don't recall hearing that.
I don't recall hearing it either.
Oh. Well, we'll make sure we'll validate that for you. Sorry to contradict you on the fly.
Heather says that's not what the PCA says.
I was going to say, I'm not giggling at you, just giggling at myself for not being able to recall something I've read so many times. So,
Miranda X, the thud.
Yeah.
The thud that was picked up from the camera at 1112 King Road, because you heard a thud and then you heard a whimper.
I guess we're assuming that was downstairs. Did we assume that was downstairs?
Because the camera
right
at 1112 King Road is 50 feet from Xana's room.
Right. So it would have had to have been the thud coming from that room or up against a wall in the hallway.
Angel D, they never stated the placement of the bodies.
In the PCA.
Yeah.
The other thing, Heather had a comment earlier when you were talking about the coroner and she had her on, and she brought up another point that it just is mind-blowing and baffling, is that it was that night that there was an account from Christy Gonzalez that I don't remember. I thought she said the coroner called the home and spoke with their 16-year-old daughter and at least told them about them being unalived. But I recall her saying that other details were shared in that phone call too. That just, again, another one of these bizarre head scratchers. When we come back to these original, I mean, you're taking us back so far, Robert. It's a good live stream because you're going over some of the things that just made us so frustrated when we were trying to figure out what was going on in the beginning.
Yeah, Heather Fitzgerald. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined. Autopsy report provided by Spokane is redacted.
Well, Heather, you get the trophy. Thank you for clearing that up and actually giving us the verbatim quote in real time so we can get the audience, everyone on the same page. Thank you. How mysterious.
Wanda says, not the PCA, the report. The autopsy report is redacted.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
This program exclusively, and also they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words.
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal of their life.
Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well. Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned.
So it's sources close to the investigation that is contradicting Kathy Mabbitt.
And you would hope with News Nation, they have good sources. You know, they have boots on the ground. They're the ones who are going to get those people on the inside to talk. I mean, that's what journalists essentially do. That's what journalists in the past used to do with gag orders before we were all internet sleuths. Now we sit here behind our computers, but people used to like go there and talk to people and gain connections. I would hope News Nation did the same. they've been, for whatever you think of them, mainstream media, at least they've been there and provided us with all of these details from the beginning. I would say the coverage curved after a while, but at least they did report on some of the oddities in the beginning quite frequently.
Oh yeah, they did.
Learned from these two sources that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew.
Father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
Joseph Scott Morgan, I was trying to be as tender as possible with the coroner in asking the nature of this is before we ever knew anything about the nature of the stabbings. And I asked if any of the victims had been slashed. And she seemed to be very clear that these were all stab wounds. But these sources are saying that, Ethan had been slashed, that his neck had been slashed, and that was the original injury he received. I guess the same question for you. Can those two things still be true? Can a coroner consider a slash a stab?
If her assessment was made merely by what she saw at the scene, I'd say, yeah, they could be true. Those two things could be true.
Well, I'll stop you right there. I asked her that. I said, were you present for the autopsies? And she said, yes.
No, I said at the scene. If she made that assessment at the scene, just to be very blunt with you, these injuries are going to be encrusted with blood. It's hard to make that assessment at the scene. However, if she went to the post, this would have been easily visualized at that point in time. And not only is the injury to the neck a slash, allegedly, according to this person, but these injuries that you're talking about on the hands, these are going to be incised wounds as well. Not necessarily slashes, but this is as a result of grabbing hold of the blade and pulling it through the hand. These are not stab wounds. I can tell you that definitively based upon my experience. So, yeah, there probably are some stab wounds, but that information is, you need more clarity here as to what she's saying. And that's, I guess at the end of the day, it's not really the point. I would draw into question what kind of exam was conducted on site at the scene. I've always wondered, when did she actually get access to the bodies? And
okay, Kathy and Jeffrey Slobe, the coroner is lying and covering up exactly how brutal these murders were.
That's a strong, it's a strong statement. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that this doesn't make very much sense. That's for sure.
Crystal C, crazy that we never seen their bodies being taken out of the house.
Oh, I actually heard something. I can't confirm this, but there was actually a local, I had a couple people validate this. Maybe Twiz could actually shed some light on it. I don't know. But I heard the street was closed off and the media was blocked out and they didn't want a display when they brought the bodies out of the house. I did find that out recently, like in the last 2 months. So that mystery maybe has a little more light shone on it. If you don't mind, Giovanni had a quote, a comment at 10:51. He said, sorry, just got here. What is the thought behind the reason Ethan's autopsy info was provided by Spokane, unlike the three little ladies? I don't know is the first thing I'm going to say, but I'm going to speculate here. As far as I can gather, it appeared that they had a second autopsy on Ethan. And I wonder, did that second autopsy get performed in Spokane? That's a speculation, you guys. I don't know, but I'm just trying to catch up with that one. Hey, Jane.
Jane Kendall, I think the coroner lied about what she saw because she didn't change her statement after FBI went to her house.
She didn't. Wait, she did or did she didn't change her statement after the FBI went to her house? I did not know the FBI went to the coroner's house. Jane, that's an interesting detail. Could you drop where you heard that, please? That the FBI came to the coroner's house. I do know they visited somebody involved in the IGG allegedly, but not. I hadn't heard that one before. I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
And how much exposure did she have to the remains that she would have had to have traveled to Spokane to view those posts, because that's where they were done?
Oh, is that what they just said?
If you're a new business owner,
Yeah.
you need guidance.
Okay.
Taylor Brands guides you through your.
Okay, so there's obviously a lot to unpack here. And of course, we're not going to take this information as fact because it's an unnamed source. Just because News Nation platforms it does not mean it's necessarily credible information. That being said, though, I think it would be negligent to just ignore and dismiss this information as speculation. I think it's worth considering and seeing if we can corroborate some of the things that are being reported here. So this first claim that Maddie and Kaylee were killed first seems to check out, at least to me, just based on a number of different items, such as the fact that the sheath was found next to Maddie, whether it was planted or not, the scene upstairs being more controlled and less chaotic, I guess you could say, as the scene downstairs. And when I say downstairs, I mean the second floor. And not only that, but the charging documents, which list Maddie as the first murder victim and Kaylee as the second murder victim. It then lists the charge for Xana and then Ethan. So no, that's not necessarily conclusive evidence as to the order in which they were murdered. It does make sense that the affidavit would be drafted in that manner, with the burglary first and then the order in which the victims died, or that prosecutors believe they died. But again, not a confirmed fact, just something to keep in mind as we make these deductions. With that being said, I've seen it reported a lot, and I think the common opinion or narrative is that Maddie and Kaylee went to sleep in the same bed, which is Maddie's tiny little twin bed tucked up against the wall, which to me just does not make a lot of sense. And I don't think there's anything weird about sleeping in the same bed as your best friend. That's not what I'm getting at. It's the fact that Kaylee's room was right there with a normal size bed, that if they wanted to sleep in the same bed, it would make a lot more sense to me that they would choose to sleep in Kaylee's room. Not only that, but Murphy was in Kaylee's room. There's no, I guess, factual evidence that they went to sleep in the same bed. Nobody's testifying that they went to sleep in the same bed. We saw Brian Enton from News Nation got this piece of information from Steve Gonzalez, which was a credible piece of information that they were found in the same bed. But he did interpret that to mean that they went to sleep in the same bed.
We confirmed that they were in Maddie's room, which is also interesting. That's something that we did not know. So Kaylee's injuries were significantly more brutal, but they were sleeping together in Maddie's room. They were sleeping together in Maddie's room.
Which is a huge logical leap, in my opinion. I don't think you can state that someone was killed where they were found. And that will continue to come up as we talk about the crime scene on the second floor. But I do want to take a minute and discuss Maddie and Kaylee's wounds. These wounds are very different than the victims on the second floor's wounds. And this is so critical. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Maddie and Kaylee, per the affidavit, are the only two that were found with visible stab wounds. Unless that information was left out of the affidavit, which I don't see why it would be, these are different injury patterns. These could be different perpetrators. These could be different weapons. And we'll get to that when I go into Xana and Ethan. But I want to make it clear that the stab wounds are upstairs. Perhaps Maddie was attacked in her sleep, not giving her the opportunity to respond or engage in any sort of scuffle. And Kaylee may have entered the scene to figure out what was going on. And then she endured a beating of some sort. And that would explain why her injuries are more severe. Of course, that's just speculation, but there's also this statement from Mr. Gonzalez. He says about Maddie and Kaylee, they may have individually died from the exact same.
Jeff's statement, Kaylee walking in on the killer stabbing Maddie would have surely infuriated him, resulting in more damage to Kaylee, in my opinion.
Well, I totally agree with you, Jeff. I had this sense from the beginning that that she interrupted whatever was going on with Maddie. And then Jeff had a comment earlier. I had wrote down I was going to bring up about the injuries being different, or the blunt force trauma, bringing up that the actual K-bar itself is designed to have the butt of the knife be a weapon in itself. So just wanted to add that because it was a good comment.
Yeah, say it louder for the people in the back, please. Said burglary ?
Yeah, I think I can answer that. It's and I saw somebody actually wrote an answer and they used the proper terminologies, mitigating circumstances. So whenever there's B&E, I believe, or when you enter the home, it's like upping the charge a little bit. Well, you also committed this crime because it meets the definition to a burglary, but it's specifically. Sorry, I'm trying to plug my phone in. Specifically for B&E.
Mirandaw said would have interrupted his fantasy.
Yeah. Agreed. That's what it feels like. Because Murphy was still in the room, you know?
Angel D said, I thought burglary was taking something from the scene, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know that. I only know the definition from like my home state where I actually heard it before, and you didn't have to steal something to be charged with burglary. You just had to break into the house.
Heather, it is to enter without permission.
Oh.
To commit a crime.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather Fitzgerald. Fitzpotamus, that's her new name, Fitzpotamus. I think I might have got it wrong.
Same thing, being stabbed, but there are more details, he said. They're not even close to matching. This is about Maddie and Kaylee. So it's possible that just based on this information, the very limited information that we have, it's definitely possible that Kaylee sustained more stab wounds and perhaps deeper stab wounds and possibly a beating as well, just based on the limited information we have. But the point I really want to drive home here is Maddie and Kaylee are the only two with stab wounds per the affidavit. So moving on to the claims made about Xana's defensive injuries, this source specifically claims that she put up a, quote, fierce fight and sustained severe injuries to her hands, including her fingers being almost severed as a result of trying to grab the attacker's knife. Definitely disturbing and harrowing if true. And I am inclined to believe that there is merit to this claim as well, based on the words of her father, as well as Steve Gonsalves, who stated that the coroner told him that Kernodle had defensive wounds after trying to fight off her killer. And he further stated that it was a hell of a battle going on down there, which does support the claims about defensive wounds and putting up a fierce fight. This claim also lines up with the injuries that were briefly described in the affidavit, which state that, quote, Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon, end quote. This is very important. Xana's wounds, as described in the affidavit, are not stab or puncture wounds like Maddie and Kaylee's injuries.
So why is Kathy Mabbitt saying they were all stabbed when clearly Xana and Ethan were not stabbed?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily gathered no stab from that, Robert. I know what they're saying, that like that you wouldn't have been able to distinguish a stab wound at that time because the blood would have been dried. But I'll tell you my theory. It kind of like piggybacking on Jeff's theory that the weapon that is used, the K-bar, has multiple ways to commit an assault. So it has the butt of the knife, it has the blade for stabbing. But what's even more devastating about that weapon is that it's sold with or without serration. So if it has a serrated edge, and again, this is very graphic, so trigger warning. But with the serration, when it goes in and comes back out, it causes a wound to be longer and larger, and it would cause it to gape. So I'm not suggesting there wasn't another weapon, but as far as them not being stabbed, I don't know if I interpreted it necessarily that way, but I'm very talkative tonight and I could be saying too much. So what are your thoughts, Robert?
Well, I would like to know why they took his golf clubs as evidence. They took Ethan's entire set of golf clubs as evidence.
I just think about like what AR says there. He thinks they found another weapon in there just from his instinctual, analyzing the crime scene from his, his background. That would make sense, Robert.
Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense.
And the other thing I think is, like, as a woman, one thing that we are acutely aware of, or we should be at least, is whatever weapon that you choose to use to protect yourself, you better have a weapon that can't be taken from you and used on you. Like, for instance, like a lot of girls would, like when I was younger, I'd hear like girls who carry like a Louisville Slugger or something in their car. Well, what are you going to do if you take a Louisville Slugger out and someone bigger and stronger than you gets that weapon from you? So what if Xana was in the room and Ethan's golf clubs were there and he meets the killer in the hallway? Yes, like if she needed to grab a weapon, what would be better than a golf club if you had to grab something? But then again, with a man who would have been taller and stronger, had broader shoulders, a larger heart, larger lungs, larger hands, he would have been able to get that from her, I would think. With her, she was a tiny girl.
Yeah. Now, in the last video, do you? I believe that that Ethan met the perp in the hallway.
Okay.
Trying to save his girlfriend. So the perp could have eliminated Ethan to get to Xana, because Ethan could have been standing in the hallway blocking him from getting to his girlfriend.
Yeah. I've always thought it could go either way for me, which Xana or Ethan first, but at some point I think they came out because they heard that noise. And that's just, I know we just went over the different possibilities of that noise that DM heard upstairs, but if there was screaming, there's someone here, blah, 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 I'm here to help you, Ethan would have probably heard it too and came out. Or the other scenario would be Xana was still doing something in the kitchen, it's my dog, and crossed paths with the killer, and then Ethan came out to save her. But that wouldn't make much sense, Robert, because I guess if Xana was found in the room.
She could have saw the perpetrator ran to her room, and then Ethan stepped out in the hallway. As she ran into her room, Ethan could have stepped out into the hallway to stop the person that was chasing her.
Now that we're talking this out, I do feel Xana had to have been second because she was found in the bedroom. That makes sense, Robert. Like, really, now that we're talking it out, I can't see a scenario where Xana would have been first, because you're right. Her boyfriend, her love, her first love, he would have came out to defend her, just like any of us would have with our partner, But the part that baffles me is that how did this happen without a distress call coming out? I mean,
yeah. If Kiki, if 911 would have been called that night by say Dylan or Bethany, this would have ended up in a whole different way.
I've heard that. I actually heard Nina say that she had either spoke with or read an article about a trauma physician who had said something like that. But yeah, it's scary, but
because
it's alleged.
If 911 would have been if 911 would have been called that night, either one of the victims or all of the victims would still be alive.
I mean, allegedly, but
Yeah, allegedly.
the other thing too is if 911 had been called earlier, we might not have looked at such a long time looking for this perp. Maybe
Yeah.
he could have been tracked down sooner. But again, we're not accusing anybody. We're just speculating here on what could have caused this major delay. I know if something happened in my home, my mind would not immediately go to people had just been attacked. But on the other hand, I also know that if I heard something in my home, I'm going to assure that everything is safe before I go back to sleep. And that's not to criticize this young 20-year-old girl. I'm just throwing out there my speculations and thoughts.
Yeah. But this time away from YouTube has let me reflect, and I've gone back and I've read through everything about the case, and I've talked to my wife's not that much into true crime, but she'll listen to my podcast like once in a while, and she made the comment to me the other day. She goes, honey, I'm like, yeah. She goes, what if there's more than one person? And I'm like, huh? She goes, what if there's more than one person involved in this? And that's why the state is not wanting to pursue anything else other than the person they have sitting in the courtroom.
Well, if that's the case, there has to be a reason, but I don't know. But it's interesting when somebody from outside, like your wife, who just catches the headlines, catches the podcast here and there, and that's the natural thought that comes from her. It's actually really insightful that you shared that. It's always interesting to hear people who are removed from the case hear something for the first time and get what their reaction is, Interesting.
And then my wife looks at me. She goes, I know you're not going to listen to me.
She right there. Tell her I said hi.
She's in the kitchen making herself something to eat.
Yeah. Well, she was gracious enough to pop into my live stream and keep me updated on what was going on with you. So just please let her know. We all say hi.
Honey. What? Kiki says hi.
That's so funny.
My streaming buddy says hi.
Oh, hi. I'm just fixing me some noodles.
She says, oh, hi. I'm just fixing me some noodles.
Oh, well, thanks for making a cameo.
Sized wounds are produced by sharp-edged objects and typically result in gaping wounds, resulting in extensive external blood loss. And adding in the information from the coroner that the fatal injuries were to the upper body, I think it's reasonable to deduce that Xana died of an incised wound to the throat and unfortunately bled out on the floor. As we look into the claims about Ethan, though, this is where it gets a bit more complex. First, let's start with the injuries. This new claim states that Ethan allegedly suffered a slash to the neck. So first of all, I think a lot of this miscommunication and confusion can be credited to a lack of understanding of the proper terminology for the injuries, as the coroner seems to think that any wound caused by a knife is a stab wound, which is just not the case. And terminology and word choice is critical when it comes to charging documents and other important evidentiary documents and even extrajudicial statements from key figures in the case, like the coroner. And that's probably a reason that there was a gag order issued in this case in the first place. But what can we gain from the word choice, specifically regarding Ethan's injuries as described briefly in the PCA? Quote, Chapin was also deceased with wounds.
Jeff's comment right here. Is that truly blood dripping outside the house? Would seem that either Ethan or Xana had to be on the bed near that wall.
Yeah, I think Xana was up against the wall, actually. Yeah. And the bed, we really looked at the proximity of that bed, and I mean, it could have been possible. It's so devastating to think about. But when you hear the trauma of her injury just then, when you hear that she had the, it does make sense. why we see that.
Sirius Black, thank you everyone for being here tonight while we celebrate True Crime Cult being live again. Yay.
Yay!
Woohoo. Okay, Jeff, that wall with the dripping blood is far from the bedroom door. Yes, Jeff, we know it's far from the bedroom door. Yeah,
Wait,
it
what do you mean,
could have been Xana leaned up against the wall.
Yeah, I think they just said, Xana was up against the wall. Wait, put Jeff's comment back up for a second. I'm sorry to boss you around, but I just want to read that again. It takes me a minute sometimes. That wall with the dripping blood. What was the second one that you put up with?
Okay, let me go up. Mm-hmm. Let me find it.
Okay. Is that truly blood? No, it was after that. Hold on, let me...
Yeah, it was this one down here, the one I just had up. I'll find it again.
Okay, sorry to boss you around. Tell your wife I'm sorry.
Let's do it.
For bossing you around.
Gotta find it now.
I'm looking too.
That wall with the dripping blood is far from the bedroom door.
Okay, the wall with the dripping blood is far from the bed. I'm just curious about your question, Jeff. I mean, I don't know what the I don't know what the I think what you're saying. I think what you're saying is they're talking about Ethan being found partially in the doorway, and you're saying the doorway is far from the wall. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I wonder if this she could have been seen up against the wall on the floor. Talking about Xana could have been up against the wall on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think, and I think that's what they're saying too. I don't know. I think I'm missing something.
Scott, Georgia Metalhead. LOL, it's 4:15 a.m. I was going to sleep and seen the live.
Thank you for committing to the live, Scott.
Mark and Betty, it's where the bed was. Make of that what you will.
Jeff, we love you. Come on, panel. We're not trying to.
Angel D. Oh, okay. I'm getting confused.
Oh, I want to ask you. Who are we listening to right now? Who is this?
True Crime Design.
Oh, this is True Crime Design?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of their videos in a long time.
Okay. Matt, this PCA is so confusing. It reads like the door was magically opened by friends. The wording is a mess. It's like trying to read hieroglyphics with a hangover.
Excellent analogy, Matt. You get a star from Robert. Actually, you're in my live chat. I'll give you a star.
Okay, Jeff.
I can't do anything on my phone.
I think I may have misunderstood where you said the bodies were found.
Sorry, Jeff.
Wounds later determined to be caused by sharp force injuries, end quote. Sharp force injuries, as we've discussed, encompasses all three of these wounds: stab, incised, and chop wounds. The affidavit states that Gonsalves and Mogan had visible stab wounds, so their injuries are not in dispute. And we surmised with a reasonable degree of certainty that Xana's wounds are likely predominantly incised wounds, both the defensive wounds on her hands and the probable fatal wound that I speculated would be a throat wound. It's possible that Xana also may have had stab wounds and this information was not included for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't visible upon entering the scene, as the affidavit is written from the point of view of Corporal Brett Payne. And it's possible that the wounds may more closely resemble each other on autopsy when they're cleaned up. But we're working with the information we've been given, so I'm comfortable saying that Maddie and Kaylee died of stab wounds and Xana's wounds were cut / incised, whatever you want to call it. So if Ethan was killed with an incised wound to the neck, I would expect the affidavit to read that he was found with wounds which appeared to be caused by an edge weapon, as this would describe what is presuming to be both his wounds and Santa's wounds. So the differentiation in the language there is interesting to me. And instead of using that sharp edge weapon terminology, the affiant chooses to introduce this term, sharp force injuries, when referring to Ethan's injuries, even though we know that they all died of sharp force injuries. A stab wound is a sharp force injury. An incised wound is a sharp force injury.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you.
Hey, Kiki. Hey, Robert. How you doing?
Good.
We're doing okay. How you
everybody
doing?
in chat. Good, good. Enjoying listening
You're
to you
kind
guys
of
tonight.
soft. You
Yeah,
might need to turn your mic up.
Oh, check. How about that? Is any better?
Can you
Any
turn
better?
the volume up a little?
How about that now? Can you hear me now? You know what? I think I had turned down another setting. Hold on one second.
Hey, while we're paused, I just want to let the live chat know, because I have like 83 people in my chat. I cannot see half the chat, so I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. I'm a guest of True Crime Cult, so I can't quite control all the StreamYard. So I love you. Thanks for being here. Sorry, I'm not.
There's 102 watching on my side.
There's 102. It said 21 before. Well, that's good. We're getting a good crowd. And Toads. Oh,
Hey,
sorry.
Twizzle. I'm not too loud, am I? I don't want to be louder than you guys.
No, you're not too loud. It's also because I'm streaming on Twitch as well.
We're streaming it. Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't stream on Twitter tonight. I just wanted
No,
to keep...
Twitch.
No, I was saying I'm only streaming on one platform tonight because I didn't know what you were playing, and
Yeah, I'm streaming on two. I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch.
Toes is in the house too.
Yeah, I saw a good comment from Toes earlier too. I was looking at this. He said the furniture that is in the room could have been moved around, considering it was a hell of a battle from Xana's room. I think you're referencing because the bed wasn't up against the wall. I think that's what you're getting at, Toes. I'm not sure. Jeff?
I think when I think about it, I think that my assumption is, and I assume that Bethany and Dylan are not like nefarious people or involved in nefarious things, that they didn't hear what they thought was unaliving, that they just went to sleep. They discovered their friends were dead the next morning. They were trying to recall best they could, or at least we know Dylan was, best they could what happened. And if you go with that assumption, then you also have to assume this was done very quietly. So it kind of eliminates the massive struggle, the wrestling, the knocking, breaking things, yelling, screaming. It's like that's out the door, I think, if that's the assumption and that's what happened. And I think the way things are worded, like I think I heard somebody sounded like playing with the dog. That sounds to me like somebody trying to recall sounds, didn't know what they were, but sounded like someone playing with the dog. I think I heard somebody saying, I'm here. And I think it's I'm even second guessing myself because he doesn't say, she didn't hear him say, I'm here to help you. I think it just says, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Because when you put the here in there, that does sound like, it changes the meaning a little bit for me. Because you could think it's a police officer, or it's I don't know you, I'm here to help you. And that would eliminate what I think that's Ethan saying that to Xana, seeing Xana on the floor, Ethan coming upon it, like, oh my gosh, Xana's on the floor. What's wrong? What, are you drunk? It's okay, I'm going to help you. Not seeing the killer. Like if you look at the bedroom, if you walk into the bedroom, you have to make that sharp right and a U-turn, you're in the closet. Killer could be standing right there, hearing Ethan footsteps coming down the hall after he's already hit Xana in the head. So I think he just ducked back, hearing. And what's Ethan going to think? Maybe he's coming from the kitchen. Maybe he's coming from the bathroom. Here's Xana on the floor. What's he going to think? What the heck just happened to you? Did you fall out of bed? What's going on? If she's laying on her stomach, he wouldn't see any stab wounds or anything.
Misha Girl 29 had a good comment. I screenshot a comment from the team lead for the 1122 King Road cleanup. She said it was the biggest biohazard job they ever had. Her guys didn't sleep for 3 days. The company is a disaster response out of Spokane.
Jeff, I thought your theory was really good too. I wanted to say, and I
Yeah, I know it's not everybody's theory, but
but you're just filling in the blanks the same many of
yeah.
us. You know,
And
you're
it's a one that seems to stick for the longest time. It hasn't changed in a long time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you did not at all, not at all. But I was just saying it. I wanted to say, you know, that it does make a lot of sense. I just there's a couple things of the Xana thing. You know, if it was really dark, that would be possible. If that good vibe sign, if no doors were open, there was no lighting, but whew, I can't imagine what the injuries we just heard described, a slash on the neck and the fingers almost severed, that he saw nothing. And then
But how do we know those weren't done? Somebody that studies criminology would know that that's probably what a normal crime scene would look like. How do we know the hands weren't slashed after they're already gone, to try and make it look like that too? I don't know.
You think that the killer took extra time to go back and make post-mortem wounds? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm just thinking in the where that, you know, the other thing too, it's like, I don't know, I wouldn't consider myself fighting back if I just held my hands up like in fear and like this knife is in my face or coming at me. You know, I wouldn't say that's fighting back. That's just like trying not to get hit.
Right. No, that makes sense. I was just saying my point was her injuries. She had the nearly severed fingers and a slashed throat. So I don't know if Ethan would have not noticed that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing too. As I was saying that, I did go off of the theory that I've had for the longest time, is that I thought that I've always thought that he went in, Xana's in the room by herself. I don't know if Ethan's in the bathroom. That's where I've assumed. He goes in. If his method is to use, and like I said, I've got a K-bar. The butt end of it is a hammer. Marines are trained to use it to hammer nails or to bash heads. So if he went in, hit Xana in the head, knocked her to the floor, we hear a thump, and Ethan is coming out of the bathroom, she isn't stabbed yet. She's just knocked in the head unconscious or partially unconscious, maybe whimpering. And he comes in and sees her on the floor. And I don't know how much they've been drinking the night before, but, you know, this is just my theory. I know there's some people in the chat that are bringing up things to try and get my goat, but that's
no, but I appreciate your theory. You're up here and coming up to speculate and give a theory, and I can't stop right now because I'm watching Robert trying to get our attention with his chihuahua.
Oh, nice.
He wants to say hi.
Hey, what's your chihuahua's name?
Tinker.
Tinker
looks joyful to be on camera.
Hi, Tinker.
What'd she say?
I love
Tinker
dogs.
looks joyful to be on camera.
He looked like he was making a face. Tell her she couldn't see the camera, Robert. So.
Tinker's got beautiful
Chihuahua was
eyes.
clearly making a face at us, you guys. He's giving us the side eye.
You guys want to see my other pet actually on camera instead of a photo?
I know Christy doesn't,
Sure.
but I do. I do want to see. Do you know what it is, Jeff?
No, is it a what? It's not a dog? Is
No,
it a cat?
it's not a dog.
Snake?
It's the new what do you call it? Mascot to True Crime Cult. It's the I don't want to say. I don't want to ruin the surprise.
What do you get, a ferret? No.
That'd be quite the mascot for you.
Have you got a grizzly bear?
Sorry, I had to go get her. We found out it's a boy.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the skin is beautiful.
Wow, that is awesome.
I don't think I've seen markings like that. I don't know very much
He,
about.
he is a pastel Mojave.
I like the name, Pastel Mojave.
Those are some
He was
beautiful
free.
markings.
Yeah, the markings are stunning.
I was supposed to pay $100 for him, but the owner texts me and says, "Hey, just come and the owner thought he was a girl at first, until my brother gendered him and said it was a boy, because when I got him, his name was Iris, because they thought he was a girl, and the owner just gave him to me, gave me the bedding, the 20-gallon tank, everything for free.
What's his name?
I named him Kylo.
Oh, I love it.
Nice, nice.
Like after Kylo Ren from Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, welcome to the fam. Welcome to the fam, Kylo.
Yeah, he is 10 months, and he's very chill. He just ate a small rat about 4 days ago. But
so did I. It was delicious.
But he's hungry again, so tomorrow I'm gonna have to go get him another rat.
Have you ever been bitten by him, or is he?
No,
he doesn't bite?
No, never been bitten. He is 10 months, and they will get to about 5 feet.
Wow.
In length.
He's how long now? Put him around your neck. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know if I can watch it.
He is roughly about.
If he bites you because I ask you to do that, I'm gonna feel so bad.
No, he's used to being manhandled. He was manhandled by my brother when he was being gendered. He's roughly about a little under a foot and a half.
Oh, he's small still.
Yeah, but he's small, but he's around his midsection. He's got 2 inches in diameter. And he likes my mic.
It probably has like a little vibration or it's something. Yeah, he probably hears.
Yeah, he likes my mic.
What's his theory on this case?
Yeah, let's get back to the case. The chat's like, what is going on?
Okay. Let me put him back up.
He's like, the stab wounds looked a little like snake teeth wounds.
I don't want to say it. I was like, are we going to Karen Reed on this? I can't remember. So what were we just talking about, Spokane and the autopsies? What was Robert asking you before we trailed off? Jeff, refresh my memory.
Shoot, my memory's worse than yours. I can't remember.
Reason
why. You guys were talking about the.
I
thought I had heard you say the position of the bodies.
His tank opens up in front.
He's got like a heat light type of thing in there.
No, he's everything on the tank was a professional setup. It's got a heat pad with a thermometer on top. The cool side has a thermometer that goes down in the tank. So everything was professionally set up by his previous owner.
That's cool. What's your dog think of it?
She avoids him like the plague.
Robert, do you see there's someone named Friendly Snake in there? There's like someone named Friendly Snake in the chat. It's
Robert, check out the snake, Annie Ruler here.
Oh, she changed her name. You are so much fun. You're adorable.
Jeffrey Slobe, my anaconda don't like that.
Your anaconda, yeah. Do you have any cats?
No, our landlord here don't allow us to have cats because his wife is highly allergic to cats.
Yeah, that's
so. And she's the one that cleans all the houses that become vacant. So if we have a cat in here and she comes in to clean the house, she would have a very allergic reaction, and he said she would go into anaphylactic shock.
Good gracious! Wow.
Giovanni's asking a question there about the gas station Elantra, but Kiki, though, you were asking about the other thing. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that.
I'm talking way too much tonight.
Angelique says, I think around 12 to 1 a.m., Ethan and Xana walked back from the frat house, and before they got to the house, somewhere in between led to a fight with Ethan, unknown person, then 2 to 3 a.m.
Then fight, and then 2 to 3 a.m. Okay.
Maybe one of the frats. Yeah, Ethan got into because Ethan almost did get into a fight with one of the frat guys because this frat guy was hitting on Xana.
Well, thank you for sharing your theory. First and foremost, we appreciate you being active in the chat. Any thoughts on that, Jeff?
I'm sorry. I was typing to hello to Allie.
Sorry. There was another comment.
What was it? Oh, well, I wasn't paying that close attention to what she said there, but
I put it on the screen.
It does make me wonder, like, there's some that think that they were unalived outside the house. But if the place was a mess, didn't the coroner say it was really messy? I mean, it seems like I'm thinking their blood wouldn't have been spilled outside the house. It seems like it would be there in the house. So if it, I've never really given too much credence to the notion that it happened outside the house, because wouldn't that mean they'd have to bring all that red stuff with them into the house, put it there to make it look like it happened in the house? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one thing that when we explore the Linda Lane theory, which is kind of like what you're alluding to, Angelique, one of the things that's always been difficult for me to really explore any of those is just what Jeff is saying, is the lack of DNA, because there was such a lack of DNA at the crime scene and outside of the crime scene. The only time we've ever heard of blood actually being seen outside the crime scene was in Papa Roger's post. I mean, we actually haven't heard anybody confirm that, as far as I know. And so, yeah, that with Jeff, like, reflecting on just what Jeff is saying, it's not that we're totally dismissing alternative theories, but it's like, this is the one thing that's hard to grasp, because there is just such a lack of DNA. 113 pieces of evidence collected from the house. And then just to think that small, tiny number included outside evidence, I don't know. But thank you for sharing your opinion.
I would like to thank the newest members to the family. I gifted some memberships. Nosy Cat, Wolf Angel, Heather Fitzgerald, Aquarius Yaya.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome to the family.
Yep, I gifted 5 memberships, and they are now a part of the family. And here comes 5 more. Whoever wants one better grab one.
I want one. Well, it never lets me click on them. How do I do this? I don't think you can do it if you're in. I think you have to be like, oh, maybe I can do it from the chat. I don't know why I'm taking one of your free memberships. I'm not going to do that. Sorry. Ignore me. Oh, Angel D, thank you for the blessing. Sorry, I didn't see the super chat come up. I'm really far behind on my chat in here. Great comments, you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go back and make a video out of all your comments.
Giovanni had asked about the car at the gas station photo, and what I thought of what model it could be. I'm not exactly sure what that car model is. It's just too hard for me to tell. But one thing that I do think about is that we're seeing two still pictures of that car, right? We see the still picture that they released, and it's kind of looks stretched, I think, because it's driving by pretty fast. And then we got that picture of, I believe, the same car at the stop sign at Highway 8 and Steiner. What is it again? White Avenue turns into Steiner the moment you cross over Highway 8, right? So I can't really tell what kind of car it is. But the thing I think about is that the police did go there, and I think they retrieved like 8 hours worth of footage from that gas station. And the thing is, I think you can determine a whole lot more from the actual footage, watching it play, rewind it, look at this frame, look at that frame, versus us, we've got just, 2 still pictures. And our still pictures are pictures of a iPhone taking an image off of a computer screen. So they're, the quality's degraded just because of that alone. So I think that they probably would be able to tell a whole lot better looking at that video.
Now, is it that we were mistaken that when we saw this still frame shot that was obviously taken by a cell phone, just because you can see the reflection, were we all just led to believe that that was the only shot of this and that there is more footage that wasn't filmed over?
I mean, my understanding's always been that this is a gas station employee that I guess had time on their hands, and they started looking through all that footage to see if they could see anything around the time, and they saw that white car and they snapped a photo of it and then I think reported it. But then there was a news article that shows this video showing the 2, I think it's 2 police officers from 2 different vehicles maybe, going into the gas station, and the report was that I read was that they obtained like about 8 hours worth of footage.
Because I thought the employee said that it was taped. It might have been that it was taped over or something. And then the other thing about that, Tax Max claps. What did she say? Hold on, I saw it come. My thing isn't working. Oh, when almost is sorry.
Miss Potts said there's no footage of the car. Payne testified to that.
Well, on that, that's an important point. When I listen to that, I hear Anne ask specific questions about specific cameras and roads. And I think I have to listen to it again, but I think it's possible, it would be possible for Payne to say, yes, there's no video of the car on what you asked me about, on the roads you asked me about. This isn't the trial. This is a hearing. There is no incentive for Payne to offer up anything extra other than what Anne has asked. Because it's clear, I mean, he's got to know Anne is not out to support Payne's work. She's out to destroy Payne's work. So why would he offer up anything other just yes, ma'am, answer that question, nothing extra. And I don't blame him.
I mean, yeah, we're watching a game of chess in front of us. And
Right,
Robert, you're
right.
pulling up the comment that I wanted to turn to, that I was trying to find. So I'm glad you pulled this up from Tax Max Fax Thunderclouds. So poorly edited photo. Jeff, when you look at that photo as a photographer, do you think it's been edited? Because to me, it looks like it's either been edited or somebody took an overexposed picture of some sort, because the headlights are like resting above. And then I have heard, and of course the source, you have to consider the source, but I can't help but see these Howard Bloom interviews, and he doesn't cite where he gets his information. But I believe that's where we heard they purposely were trying to change the model of the car to throw the unaliver off. Could they have doctored the photo? And it was the one that it says Tax Max Flax, poorly edited photo. So I'm just telling people.
Miss Potts, the police did not retrieve any video from that gas station. Just listen to Payne's own testimony, Jeff. No videos of the car.
No, I mean, he might, that might not be the car in question. I mean, that woman at the gas station found a white car around the time, 3:45. It's something worth looking into, but for all we know, it has nothing to do with the crime at all. I did, in hopes to debunk that car, I did look at the times of all the 5 passes by the Linda Lane camera to see. It's like car can't be in 2 places at the same time.
Right.
That car being at that gas station at 3:45, there is time to get from Linda Lane to there and get back. If you think of the 5 times at Linda Lane, like the photo ops, there is time to get back and get your picture taken at the gas station and on Linda Lane. So I wasn't able to debunk it. I was like, it'd be nice to just be able to say, this is not the car. It's not involved. Nothing to see here. But I couldn't.
So while you were studying all of those passes, at any time, while the car was moving, did you see distortion that made the headlights look like they were on top of it, like it was like a 90s car or something?
Actually, can I show you something from? I actually used the Rio Link camera, almost the same exact camera that's at Linda Lane, but I used it pointing it out the front of my house at the street out in front of my house, and you can see what it does to a car passing by. If that's cool with you. There you go. I put it in the backstage there.
Hey, Wonder Woman, y'all, I've got to duck out. It's been interesting and fun. Y'all have a great night. Welcome back, Robert.
Thanks, Wanda. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you,
Good
Wanda.
to see you, Wanda.
So,
Wonder Woman. Now I get to have I'm gonna have the Wonder Woman song stuck in my head now. So this is So check this out. Here comes a car. All right, zooming past. What happens when you freeze the thing? Take a picture. You know those headlights are not that shape. You know that is because it's in motion. It's basically just motion blur. That's all that is.
Oh, it's like yeah.
So, you know.
I love when Ali says, "I love when Jeff H does his demonstrations and makes his videos. It's so cool and just describes and how he describes." So, and thank you for subscribing to Swamp Bros.
Thank you, Ali.
Because it always
Swamp Bros.
It always does
It must
that.
be speech.
I say Swamp
speech to
Bros
text.
in my phone. It says Swamp Bros. I'm like, they think I'm like a.
Sounds like
cool,
a country brand.
Subscribe to Swamp Bros and True Crime Cult.
Oh, thank you. We're so
Thank
grateful.
you, Ali.
Yeah, let me put. I've got that picture,
Angela
gas station
says,
picture.
thank you for having us.
We appreciate all the comments tonight, Angelique. You've been here for almost the whole live stream. Oh, Heather. Says him seeing them.
Jeff H, I'll be your friend when
Wait,
you're
what is
booted from the tar group for exonerating BK.
Wait, what does Tinsel say right now?
Heather. I think she means Gilter Group, of course.
So does that make the unalivers claim of seeing images?
Olivia Gonzalez.
I was figured you were writing unaliver. I don't know why I think everything's auto-corrected nowadays. Claim of seeing the images from the light bulb cam. I can't remember where we got to that conclusion. So they revisited that interview, and Heather, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think Olivia came back on the record and said she hadn't seen them walking the dog, or somebody assumed that they were walking the dog. I don't know. We don't even know if that camera's there. Right? We're talking about the 712 house, right?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about
the 1112 house.
Oh, the 1112 house?
Yeah.
The light bulb camera. 1112.
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
1112.
Because they said they saw the footage. I don't know, Jeff. You would be able to speak on this better than me. I don't know why I'm trying to answer a question that's kind of in your wheelhouse, but.
Oh, I've only seen the one still picture from that light bulb camera at 1112.
But back
that's
to
the one
like,
that's
why, didn't Olivia
156.
say she saw it? Which one would it have been?
I think.
Well, maybe Olivia saw the footage. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because that truck that was leaked, in that still frame, I believe that was leaked by Olivia and Steve.
A truck?
Yeah, I did hear that. That the picture, the light bulb camera still picture at 156.
Oh, okay. Oh.
The one with the little pumpkins on the railing and.
Wait, Heather.
Nosy Cat said, "What do you think of the Linda Lane audio, real or fabricated?"
Jeff?
Yeah, I have no reason to think that it's been messed with. If you think about it, Kane Francetic, the landlord at 1330 Linda Lane, said in a news article that he turned over his footage the very next day. I mean, there's no time to mess with the footage, I don't think. And in the emails I've had back and forth with him, I don't get the sense he has the skill set to do that either. So, I think he just turned it over. Actually, he emailed me and said he gave the FBI access to his NVR recorder, the thing that records all the clips from the camera. Mm-hmm. And it was I think it was days worth of footage. And I think he said he assumed that they just took it all, or copied all of it. So yeah, I mean, I don't. The thing is too, I mean, if you listen to any of the Linda Lane footage here, there, everywhere, it all seems to be the same audio. I mean, that's how we I think we can kind of know if somebody's doctored it, is because wait a minute. And also too, the thing that is suspicious to me, if you're a content creator and you're putting out Linda Lane footage and look at what I found, and you don't put a timestamp, I mean, either you're just being a jerk or you're just not wanting to be helpful, but you're also like not really helping your case that you found something. Because everything I've done, I try to put timestamps. I even try to put on the screen, I put, look, I use Adobe Premiere, I use these sound settings. This is what everything was set at to reduce the noise, so that somebody else can come along that maybe knows Premiere better than me and say, hey, take it from here. Here's what I did. Maybe if you can make it even better, do so. We're all just trying to work together to figure out, stuff here. But
well, I just want to address like the Kane issue. So Kane said he turned over the footage to the police, but that has nothing to do with the footage that's on the streets right now. So Kane might have given the footage to the police, but that doesn't change what's on the streets right now. And you've spoke with Kane and you're vouching for his character. You're saying he doesn't seem like the kind of person who would doctor or maybe have the knowledge. I don't know, but you're implying he wouldn't have done the altering himself. But he sold the footage to someone. He sold the footage to someone who was not only who was taking that footage to make profit on YouTube and other platforms. So why would that person he sold it to overlay noises? And I get what we're saying about the beeps. We've lined up the beeps with the Banfield, but that doesn't stop someone from overlaying other things. Because I've seen the text messages, the original text messages to Sleuthy, one of the people that originally got the leak. She posts them publicly on her channel. And you can tell the person is sitting there talking about these different timestamps. She talks about Callie. She talks about a John Denver karaoke song and all sorts of things that she wanted the people she was trying to leak it to, or she or he, to look out. So maybe Kane didn't alter it, but the person who was leaking it, who clearly had motives because they were leaking it to multiple people at the same time, what if that person altered it? And it's not saying they changed the sound completely, but it could say that they added something to it. It also could be pretty easy to change the timestamp on it or to use a different day. I mean, these things can all be altered, and we know how easy it is to manipulate a photograph, So I don't know. I'm not blaming Kane, but I am saying we know it was given to someone with ill intention. So
yeah.
And it's probably, so I've been speaking with Matt Josh, Homeland Security Matt, and he said that if that's the case, if Kane sold the footage after it was given to the police, it's now inadmissible in court. So, I mean, it's just another little tidbit to what we're all studying is likely not something we're going to see. Right. Because it can't be admissible in court now.
Kane has never said anywhere in the emails that I've had back and forth with him anything regarding the sale of the footage. I think he did mention that he said they were scammed out of the footage. But my gut tells me that.
Well, no, they told you they were scammed out of the footage.
Yeah, that he was scammed out of the footage.
How? What happened?
Wolf Angel, I gifted Wolf Angel a membership. She says, "Thank you so much for the membership." And here's that question that you were just asking, Kiki.
What?
Didn't Kane's wife tell them that someone was pretending to be an investigator, swindled it? Rory has since removed this video.
Is that what you're referencing, Jeff?
I think I did hear something like that, but this was something that I think Kane had put out. That
so Kane said he was tricked. To you?
Yeah, I don't know. My gut has always been that I could imagine a scenario where he's showing the footage to people, because who wouldn't? I mean, I'd call my neighbor. You got to hear this. Listen to this. Look at this. I think that's, the killer's vehicle, stuff like of that sort. And just like we look at this footage and we say, oh my gosh, I hear something at 2 a.m. Oh my gosh, I hear something over here. it wouldn't surprise me that the people who had the footage, and I don't know how they, if he sent copies to them or how they got their hands on copies, if they felt like as strongly as any of us do in the YouTube community that this ought to be in the hands of the public, and then that's how it ended up getting out.
Yeah.
But
Heather just
So
said,
Kane admits though that he was.
I literally just wrote that.
So wait, I just want to quick. So when you were talking to Kane, he admitted to you, he showed it to other people after he gave it.
No. Let me be clear. I'll try to be clear on what exactly he has said, because I don't want to say anything that he's. No, that's what my assumption is, that that's probably how it ended up getting out in the public, because the response to it probably was very much like the response we all have to it, but yeah, the words that he did use was we were essentially scammed out of this footage. So I don't know exactly how. He didn't. No, he didn't explain. He didn't explain how, but I don't know. Who knows? Could have been. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've tried to be. There's no reason for Kane to ever talk to me. I've always just. I've only emailed him a few times with questions here and there. Early on, I was just trying to figure out like the lay of the land, like with Linda Lane. I didn't realize at first that it dead ended right there at that parking lot where the camera is, and I was first talking to him or reaching out to him just to find out if there was any footage that he had of that area so we could get a better sense of the way the road, was. And that unfortunately led, I don't know if I caused it, but it led to, there used to be two apartment tour videos, 2 apartments at 1320 that were, this woman gave a tour of the apartment. Then she walked up the hill and she walked right under the Linda Lane camera into the laundry room there. And I don't know why I didn't grab the videos. I guess I didn't think they would just be pulled down, but they were soon after pulled down. And hopefully that wasn't because I inquired about it. Because my assumption was if you shoot a video of an apartment tour, maybe there's a bunch of extra footage from when you shot it that you could, maybe share. But since then, we've got all kinds of other YouTube creators have gone out to that location, have shown us a lot of different camera angles of the, the camera, the parking lot, that kind of thing.
Well, thank you for sharing what you know. It does at least perk my interest. And, they had to get the footage somewhere, So there's either 2 places they could have got it, unless someone maybe hacked his cloud. So maybe there's a third way, someone hacking in. But he used the word scammed out, sort of, or implied scammed out. So it means that the source would have been Kane, unless somehow he got hacked. But I don't think he would have used the word scam if that was the case. So it was either Ellie or it was Kane. So
Tax Max Facts Thunderclap. Yeah, someone got into his cloud or something. Then they took back access.
I want to finish this thought. So here on YouTube, what was said is that they got it directly from Kane. They bought it from a neighbor who got it from Kane. So that was what was put out into the ether. Now, I'm not saying that's fact, but I'm saying that's what's on the record here on YouTube. It's such an interesting conversation because likely, again, it's not admissible in court now.
Yeah.
So I would think if he did turn it over to the police, it's tragic that it was then shared amongst other people, because it is a clear footage of that, of a car circling, and I don't think it's useless. And I don't think it's non-evidence. And it's sad that it won't be shown in court now for whatever use of justice it might have had.
I'm no legal expert on it, but I imagine, it happens sometimes. Things leak, things get out, things get left out, and, people get their hands on it. I don't know that. Does that mean then that the one still frame from the light bulb camera at 156 is no longer evidence? Because that was
frame,
leaked.
though, but it's a still frame. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know but I
don't know.
I don't either. Maybe the other point is that we know that there were at least 2 different parties that crossed through, if not 3. And then the creator who they gave it to, who then posted it on YouTube to just sit. So the point that we're all making of all of this, not knowing what's going on about its origins, is that the Linda Lane footage could easily have been overlaid or altered. And I know you did the differential mode, so when it comes to images, we might see traces of that, but when it comes to audio, we might not know if somebody added something to that. It did go through multiple hands before we see the footage that we see now that was put out.
One thing that would be difficult, if you think about it, the 1330 Linda Lane camera footage is in sync with the timestamp on the 1320 Linda Lane camera, is also in sync with the body cam police officers, with the time. I mean, they're all of them are only off by less than a second. I mean, that tells me that these, each of these 3 devices aren't like, it's not where you manually enter the time. It's where the time is extracted by the device from the internet, so they're all synced up. Like I can look at my iPhone now and I can look at my Mac computer. The seconds, I think, are almost exactly the same because they're synced up without me having to manually do it.
Yeah. I'm just concerned about something being added to it, because the original premise of putting it on YouTube is because you hear Xana claim, like the original leaker was saying, listen to this. They give a timestamp, and if I remember correctly, it was either 1:30 or 2:13. I'm speaking off the cuff right now, something along those lines. But she said, you can hear it, the John Denver song, they're singing karaoke, and then she gives all these one-liners that she says are Xana. And I'm just saying, like, yes, we've lined up the beeps, but in your opinion, Jeff, couldn't audio have been added to that file before we uploaded it to YouTube, and somebody overlaid sounds? They wanted to make things sound mysterious, like the screams or the barks. There's so many noises. I get the emails all the time. Listen to this timestamp, listen to that one. Could the audio have been altered, but still have those indicators that show us it lines up with the Banfield? I mean, just adding something to it could have been done. I just don't want to steer my audience to looking at Linda Lane and like examining Linda Lane without keeping in the back of their mind that this isn't the original footage that the police are looking at. This has been through 3 parties at least since you see it.
And how many rabbit holes have we gone down in this case on YouTube?
A million.
Yeah, quite a few. I think the thing is, though, at least for in the courtroom, the fact that Kane, and I believe I could find the newspaper article that said Kane turned over the footage the very next day to Ellie, that there's just no time to have altered it for them.
Not for them.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's also not easy. I mean, different microphones sound different. Recordings at different distances from the microphone sound different, and you put it all in there. The thing is that the stuff sounds pretty consistent. I don't hear anything that sounds like an edit or sounds like an addition. But here's actually something from one of Kane's emails. I think I had mentioned that I've worked with expensive microphones that are $1,000 microphones. This Reolink camera that shot the Linda Lane footage is like under $100. So I know a $1,000 microphone is going to have trouble picking up something from inside a house 100 yards away with a big old, as Bubbly Waters likes to call it, a big old Twinkie building in between it, right? The two long Twinkies. Here's what Kane said. He said, you are correct that there is no way that camera mic would be able to pick up any sound from King, meaning the murder house. He said, I mean, there are large brick buildings, trees, concrete retaining walls, etc. in the path, not to mention all the other background noise present in a college town at night. So he's the one who installed the camera. He's the one who lives there. He knows the normal sounds of the evenings. So to be honest with you, for as long time, I mean, I don't listen to any of the sounds on there, except I do hear what could be. Actually, now once I saw, I'm changing my mind on that. Sigma Chi put out the 1320 footage. What I thought was a trunk slam and then the car speeding away at 4:21:19 a.m. I've said that so many times. I know the exact time without even think about it. There is actually a car seen going up the road that goes up behind Sigma Chi in the 1320 camera.
In the 1320.
The movements of that car match the sounds of the car I was hearing at 4:21:19. You can hear it. I think it comes to a stop sign. It goes up the hill, has to make a left, and then goes on to, I think that road is called Nez Pierce, which is the road that goes directly behind the Sigma Chi frat house. So that car is in sync with the timestamp and the sound of the car.
That's good.
Which
I'm
also
gonna check that out.
Which also makes you have to think about it is like the sounds we're hearing on the Linda Lane camera, what I thought was coming from in the direction of the house, it's completely in the other direction. It's not to the left, it's all the way to the right. So the sounds that camera is picking up aren't necessarily just picking it up from, the left. It's omnidirectional. It's from all over the place.
It's like a fishbowl of sound there or something like that. I've heard people say.
It's funny. Everybody calls it a fishbowl, but it's on a hill. So if it's a bowl, it's an upside down bowl. I picture like a cereal bowl. So it's a house on a hill. It's not in a pit, right? So the sound, like if you're inside a bowl and you yell, yes, you're going to hear it. But if you're flip the bowl over and you're standing on top, like you're standing on top of a mountain, there's not much for it to bounce off of, so because you're higher. But again, that's what Kane says, and I mean he's agreeing with me, and I'm agreeing with him on that. So
yeah, I love this. I love this other indicator that we can look at, which is the 320 sound of the car driving away, and you can match up with the 4:21:19, just so you guys have the timestamp. There's that. There's the Banfield beeps, and then the other one that I've always wanted to do is they're at 3. I want to. Excuse me. It's around the 3 o'clock hour. They have one where you can hear a key fob or something like the beep beep, someone beeping their horn or opening their car, unlocking their car. And I'm wondering.
Could that be the police?
It could be, but I'm wondering, can we take then the 1320 footage and match up that beep too? And I think we've had this discussion, and you were saying you thought it was not in the time frame, but I don't know. I think it is. And hearing you say that they can hear that swoosh down at 320, that means that when we hear that beep in the 320 camera, we could probably also align that with Linda Lane, like we did with Banfield, like you did with
right.
Thank
yeah,
you.
depending on what, because I know there's some time. I've got time on 1330 that I don't see is available to me on the 1320 camera, because I know there was something else I wanted to verify. It's like, okay, if I heard that on the 1330 camera, I should be able to hear it on 1320. And then I looked and it's like, oh, that time isn't available.
I heard you say that, but what time is the 1320 though? Isn't it 3 a.m.? It's like 3 a.m., right? Like 3 a.m.
Wait, let me look at Sigma Chi's.
And Angelique's got some really great comments. She was agreeing with you, Jeff, too. She's saying it. I think she was saying, she made that comment when you were saying, in your professional opinion, it doesn't sound like you listen. So he used a sound compressor on this so that, like, you know how, I'm just explaining to the audience and not to you, Jeff. You know how when a noise is really, you turn up the volume on something so you can hear something really quiet. Once you hear a loud noise, it'll like blow you away, So Jeff put it through a processor that compressed the sound. So when there's a soft sound and a loud sound, it brings them to the same level. So you can adjust the volume and not have that constant So right. Anyway, my point is that like he would know if it would be obvious to him. Jeff is saying if there was an audio edit, he would have heard it when he was doing this. I think.
Well, kind of. I mean, it's not impossible to have added stuff. But I mean, wasn't that guy? Who's the guy that he was doing really well for a while, and then he altered some video, and now he starts with a J.
He told me about him. I can't remember his name. You guys.
But he's gone from the YouTube streets now after that. But so I'm saying it's not like it's impossible, but if there's, I don't know. I'm thinking, if you ask me, like, could I do something like that with the audio editing, software I have? It's like, thing is, like, you could put something in. It's kind of like when you're mixing music. Like you have I did a guitar solo over a backing track. The backing track is already recorded in a professional studio, and then you have to like skillfully, I think, and I still don't think I did a very good job, but to blend my guitar that I'm adding into that backing track, when I listen to it, I hear like we sound like we're totally separate. It's because it's just,
I alter my audio constantly. I put overlays in everything. So I've been doing these ASMR videos for like 10 years. And one of the things we learned really early on with the ASMR is that layered sounds, adding more of the sounds that people liked, we could layer them on. And I have it down to an art form. I can clip little noises and I just, I do a little fade at the end and it just sounds perfect. And I can match the volume, and I have the most basic editing software out there. Like my editing software has no bells and whistles, but I've just learned to easily overlay audio. And it allows me to do up to 3 different tracks, and that's above the original sound that I'm using. So I could overlay 4 different things. I mean, all I'm saying is if I had the Little Lane footage, and I never would because I'm not this kind of person, but if I had the Little Lane footage, I would 100% be able to be capable of adding something. Now, what you're saying with the sound compressing or the sound processing, I don't know if that would have been picked up or if you would have sensed that because maybe you have more sensitive software. But my understanding is that I could do that. I just don't want my audience to think it can't be done.
Right. And what you were saying about the compression, I mean, that's the initial motivation for when I even started doing anything with that sound, because I would sit there and watch YouTube live streams, and everybody would, like the panel host would say, okay, everybody just be quiet, mute your mics, and we're going to crank up your volume, and then it'd be quiet for like, minutes upon minutes upon minutes, and your volume's cranked, and then something would come, drive through, and then you'd have to turn your volume down. And I thought, oh, that sucks to have to be sitting there with your volume up, down, up, down, up, down. So I thought all you need to do is add some compression to it, which is what you said. Quiet sounds, the volume's turned up more on the quiet sounds. Loud sounds, it's turned down so that it's in a range and you can leave your volume in one position and just listen to all 4 hours of the footage and check it out. Joseph Morris,
now,
that's it.
Jeff did mention my favorite horror movie earlier.
Which one's that?
The House on the Hill.
I didn't see that coming.
That's cool, Robert.
I'm not giving you
American
shit.
Princess put something on the screen for you, Jeff.
What's that? Which one? Oh, on the screen. Sorry. That guy left you. Oh, talking about Joseph Morris.
Wait.
He's back. Yeah, Joseph Morris was the guy who added sounds of I guess it was like a fighting and yelling and claimed that it was from inside the house. But it's amazing that somebody recognized that sound and said, "That's mine. That's from my video," and then pointed it out. And then you listen to both of them, you're like, "Holy crap! That is." Yeah, he just overlaid, or just used that sound. There's also that sound that was going around for a while where everybody thought it was from inside the house. It was actually from a woman named Martha Jimenez, who had put out audio from her, the camera on her house that happened to capture a domestic fight in her front yard. She was just trying to share what sounds from that distance, a fight, might sound like, and then everybody thought it was from inside the house. It was kind of a misunderstanding. Really? Yeah, if you look at It's a Criming Shame, Sonny Justice did an interview with her, and she explained, what that was. They played some of the audio, and that's all that was. It was a excuse the pun, but a nothing burger. And but man, I thought I had figured out what was going on with that sound, because I thought I heard somebody yelling Lydia. There's like the notable part of that is when somebody's it's a guy yelling Lydia. That's what I heard, and I thought I was onto something, because there's Oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of the series. Teen Wolf. There's a Teen Wolf TV series, and there's a woman named Lydia in that series that has this scream, and when she screams, like it's like that's her superpower, and she screams and it fights off the monsters and all that kind of stuff. But there was a scene in it where the guy's running across the field and Lydia's being attacked, and he yells, "Lydia!" And I was certain I had figured out that this sound was probably somebody watching TV above the Linda Lane camera, and that's all it was. And then turns out it wasn't even footage from the same state.
AR is in the chat.
Hey, AR.
Thanks for being here, AR. We're so happy to see you, and you're well enough to feel like getting on the YouTube streets tonight.
I hope you're doing well, brother.
Yeah, and we're in our thoughts and prayers, AR, and everyone in the community. I hope you saw the post that I shared on my community page that Peter made for you. It has over 300 likes, so many comments wishing you well. So make sure you check that out while you're...
Man, I've been away for a week. I didn't know what's going on with AR.
He was having
but
some
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. He's back home now with Jen, and first time
and the
I've
dogs.
seen him too.
A dog's lick and spit will cure anything, so I'm glad you're back home with the dogs.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Like I said, I was gone for a week, and when I came home, Nanook jumped up on put his paws up on my shoulder, licking my face, and it's like, welcome home.
She gave you a hug when you came home.
Yeah.
Jeff,
man's best friend.
I haven't seen you around in a while, so you have
Yeah, I was in New Orleans on a video shoot for a full week. It was the Paralyzed Veterans of America wheelchair games. It was awesome.
God bless you.
They were amazing. I mean, these guys in wheelchairs, no legs, going over like obstacle courses and trudging through, like they have a little course set up, and they'd have to go through gravel and sand, and they'd have to go downstairs steps backwards holding onto the railing. I mean, it was...
With their wheelchairs? Oh my God.
In their wheelchairs, yeah. I mean, they had people there ready to catch them if they fell, but yeah, these guys and ladies, they did not know the meaning of can't.
That puts things in perspective for all of us when we see something like that.
Oh man. And we had like a almost a 10-minute walk from the hotel to the convention center every day, multiple times a day, because sometimes we take a break. And I'm telling you, there's something that happens when I would normally think my legs can't handle all this walking. You see people that don't have legs, and you just think to yourself, I can't complain about my legs. I'm thankful to have legs. Let's walk,
Amen. Thanks for sharing that, Jeff, and welcome back. Welcome back to YouTube as well.
AR at True Crime Cult, at Swamp Rose, at Jeff H. Thank you all. Good to see you all, and I'm very appreciative.
We're so happy to have you back.
Good to see you, AR. Good dude. Good dude.
Very good to see you, brother.
Thank you, Sirius. Said Nanook is so beautiful.
Oh, she is. She is.
Yeah. Or he is. That's it. Nanook's a he.
Handsome. Regal.
I think. Who knows? Talk to Nanook. Maybe Nanook has had a change of opinion.
It's a boy, right?
Yeah, no, Nanook is a boy.
Okay. Wait, ARGO here. Oh, that's me.
Let's finish this video.
Did you guys see the Did you guys see
what?
Sigma Chi did a little video recently showing the shape of that side window from the Linda Lane footage at 4:05. Which I think was interesting. It's similar to, what we've done with overlays, but this, instead of overlaying like I did, I took a Elantra, 2015 Elantra, and overlaid it onto the video to show that the window shape matches perfectly. What they did was cool. He's got a graphic person did a great job. They took the shape, drew the shape of the window, extracted it onto like just a plain background, and then put different cars underneath that shape, and they basically show that shape window matches an 11 to 13 Elantra. It also matches a 14 to 16 Elantra. I think it even matches a 17 Elantra if I remember the video right, but after that it doesn't. And I think he even put a Ford Fusion on there to show no match. I just thought that was interesting.
No,
it was one of the It's one of the recent videos. It's a short one. It's just a short one showing that. And I thought that was really well done.
That's interesting.
Thank you, Allie. Appreciate that.
Yes, Allie does have. Please visit Jeff's channel too. Check out
Yep.
his videos if you haven't. Jeff H. the guitarist. Wait, I'm a mod. I can drop a link. I'll drop a link.
Yeah, you're a mod.
Let me drop a link.
Drop a link. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
No problem, Jeff. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier.
And thank you, Heather. Earlier, she dropped a link in your chat, Swamp, for my channel.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Whoa, what happened? This is not Jeff H. the guitarist. I just got Jeff Healy.
Man, I sure wish there was a way to get our hands on that light bulb camera. You think if we did like a GoFundMe to whoever owns that camera, we could get them to release it?
I want.
Well, I know what you were saying. What you were saying about the legal ramifications, though. If that's true, then that could be bad. Maybe we don't want it, actually.
Yes. Yes.
But that camera surely will show what we
Heather,
need to see to answer all our questions.
Oh, she did it. Okay. I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just was.
No, that's cool. No, that's cool. No, I was going to say just that camera. I really think will just answer so many questions that we have. We just see just a little bit on the Linda Lane camera. That stupid fence. Whoever put that fence and retaining wall there really screwed us up because we can't quite see well enough to make any real determinations.
Yeah.
I guess this comment was directed at you, Swamp.
Oh, what'd I say? Don't ban anyone from TTC's channel again. Well, don't make a liability for us, and we won't. I mean, we can't have. She was writing first and last names of people, and she was writing other channels.
Creators.
And you have to understand, like, we have a responsibility to not do that. And if we asked her to stop, and she did it again, and so Robert will unban her when we're done. But I couldn't have that in my live chat. I'm sorry.
Do you, Nosy Cat? Do you ever think the cat running around on Linda Lane might have been on overlay from Murphy the dog?
No, I don't. You know, the interesting thing is that cat can be seen on the 1330 camera exiting frame right and then entering the 1320 camera, the dumpster camera, frame left. So it's a continuation of the cat. You can almost probably, if you look closely, probably figure out where the cat lives if it's going home. I don't know, maybe it's going out to just... I know when my cat got out, he was a house cat, but when he got out, you could see on his face, he's like, this is great. I'm having a great time. I'm meeting so many friends out here. I was like, you've been lost for like days. I've been looking all over for you. He's like, I don't want to come in yet.
Angel D. I missed
covered
all
in
the
grease.
shenanigans.
That's all the shenanigans. Save it for the member. Save it for Tuesday nights in the member only chat.
And then
Yeah, it
glitch
could
in
be
the
Enon's
Matrix.
cat.
Imagine it's Enon's cat.
I know. We always say Enon has a cat, is a cat hoarder. I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if there's receipts for that, but word on the street is Enon's a cat hoarder.
Didn't it say that it was something about a cat being the one to trigger the light bulb camera?
They say that because there's so many cats in the neighborhood. It's not because it came from anywhere. But that makes sense. They showed a picture of a cat on top of trash cans. They show cats all. It's a cat neighborhood.
Right, but I thought that it was. I don't know if it was a PCA. Hold on, I got four or five keystrokes, and the PCA is right in front of me at all times.
All right, that's actually a smart thing. Let's keep the PCA.
I think it's a very smart thing for all YouTube creators because I've heard so many times like, I think the PCA says this. I think the PCA, and yeah, just have that sucker right in front of you. Let me see. Let's search for the word cat.
And Tinsel, I'm sorry I banned Jen. I just didn't notice.
It was the way you laughed after you did it. That's what was. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was not laughing.
You giggled.
I might have been a little drunk with power. I'll be perfectly honest. Because I'm a mod. And
You're like, don't mess with me.
I'm a mod on for you, Robert, AR, and Mina. I think I'm a mod. Oh, 12. I'm a mod for 12. but I'm not his best mod. Aquarius.
I'm not seeing the word cat
Angel D.
anywhere.
The story was a cat set off the cam, and it started recording.
But where did the story come from? I think it was just from seeing cats in the neighborhood and a picture of a cat in some news article on top of the trash cans. Or no, wait a second. I'm taking it back. Jeff, are you in the PCA right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, but I don't see the word cat. But when this document is like a, it's almost like a fax. You know, it's like some of the, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Adobe Acrobat is trying its best to see this as text, like a text document, but
I can.
I can't find the word cat in the PCA, and
it's not.
Doesn't mean it's not in there.
Are you? Is it letting you search it?
Yeah. Adobe Acrobat can search it.
Okay. Bear with me and Jeff.
By now, it seems like we should have the PCA memorized and
I know.
we can just recite it.
Jeff, that's your job. You go home and memorize it.
I'm failing you guys right now.
Oh, whoops! I'm like zoomed right by it. It's like the second thing. Okay. Here we go. No, it's the first thing. Look, I pulled up the little one. Hold on. Let's pull up the affidavit and cat. I'll do cat and trash. No cat. Trash. Okay. Trash from Culver's home. Trash DNA. No cat or trash in mine. Doesn't mean it's not there.
Seems like it should be the part where it mentioned the sounds heard from 50 feet away. I'm remembering it being right near there. That's the reason they could hear it, because an animal triggered it or something. Or was it a different
Hold on a second.
document?
Can I just pause for a second? So somebody's in the chat calling me out. Calling me out for what? I mean, all I said was, please don't mention creators' names, and then you just continued to mention them. Did I do something off? I don't know. What are you calling me out?
Check your back chat.
I see I know you're under an alias. We know what your alias is, but I'm just wondering, could you just leave me? I didn't mean it. Okay, so you said no. You just said I gave first and last names. You did. I'll give you the initials. BN. You said her first and last name, and I know it's an alias, but we all know who she is, and it's not okay. We don't want people coming after us. Just don't call people out in our chat. You can call, it's that's all. It's not a slight against you. It's just a rule here. And then, of course, we have Giovanni doing the same. Oh, it's TCD.
Yeah, Ali said if only Murphy could talk. That's right, man.
Yep.
The cat deserves a medal.
Dog's like, roof, bushy eyebrows, roof, bushy eyebrows, roof.
No, I understand it's her handle, but you also have to understand when you call a creator out, it's damaging their brand. So we have to watch it in our chat. And it just happened. I erased, I think, 4 comments. And then when the 5th one came, I just blocked it because I couldn't keep up. It was just a matter of logistics. I couldn't protect my chat and continue with that. It wasn't you. It was just the rules.
Angel D. Allie Brooks. Poor Murphy.
I know. Poor Murphy.
So why does he choose to refer to Ethan's wounds like this? Well, he knows the public is going to read the affidavit and dissect it, and the media is going to sensationalize it. So I think part of this is to exclude some gruesome details from the public record, and this is pretty normal in a high-profile case. But it definitely has me wondering if Ethan's injuries could not be classified as stab or incised. And that leads me to speculate that he might have died by chop wounds. So let's go over that a little bit. So as we discussed, a chop wound is best considered a combined blunt and sharp force injury that is produced by a relatively sharp object wielded with a tremendous amount of force. The object is often heavy and moving at a high rate of speed, or with significant angular acceleration. Because of the larger amount of force, chop wounds have features of both sharp and blunt force injuries. As such, chop wounds frequently have marginal abrasions and contusions, and sometimes lacerations. Examples of objects that can cause chop wounds include crowbars, claw hammers, tomahawks, axes, hatchets, boat propellers, lawnmower blades, and a multitude of industrial and farm machinery. And this is speculation. I want to make that very, very clear. I'm reading into this affidavit perhaps a bit too much, but there is a discrepancy with how these wounds are being described in the legal document. So I'm addressing that. I'm wondering if these wounds that Ethan sustained are chop wounds, and that's why there's a bit more secrecy surrounding his specific injuries. And being the only male victim, it would make sense that he was perhaps incapacitated with a heavier, duller object than a knife. And if that's the case, then we have a new weapon we're introducing into the scene. So that also may be a reason why they kept that pretty vague within the charging document. So as I'm going through all of this, I remembered a post that Ethan's mom, Stacy Chapin, made on Facebook on January 11th. And it mentions that for an update, anything we/Ethan had is now frozen with the defense. For us, it involves 2 vehicles, E's belongings, and a nice set of golf clubs. So why were golf clubs taken as evidence? So then I asked myself, is a golf club capable of producing sharp force injuries? And I immediately thought of the infamous case of Martha Moxley, who was a 15-year-old girl who was murdered in 1975 in Greenwich, Connecticut. Martha was found beaten and stabbed to death in the backyard of her family's Greenwich, Connecticut home. Investigators traced a trail of blood to the Moxley driveway. There, investigators discovered a piece of the murder weapon, the shaft of a 6-iron golf club. While one man, her neighbor and Kennedy cousin, Michael Skakel, who was also 15 at the time, was eventually arrested, tried, and convicted of her murder. His conviction was later overturned. Martha Moxley had been beaten and stabbed with a Tony Pena golf club. The golf club she was struck with shattered from the force of the blows. But listen to the way these injuries are described. Dr. Henry Lee testified, using his right arm in a chopping motion, Dr. Lee demonstrated how the murderer most likely stood over the victim, repeatedly hitting her with the club. She was probably on the ground receiving some injury, he said. As the killer swung the club back, it had finally broken apart, and the bloodied metal head and 2 sections of the shaft flew more than 100 feet, coming to a rest among dead leaves across the yard. Also, Connecticut Chief Medical Examiner Wayne Carver directed the jury's attention to deep wounds in the girl's head. They were, Carver said, produced by the Tony Pena 6-iron that police say came from a set of clubs owned by the defendant's mother. Carver said the great force of the blows pierced the girl's skull and brain, and that one blow was so sharp and piercing, virtually a stab, that it dragged a lock of her hair through one side of her neck and out the other. As many as 9 blows may have been delivered, said Carver. The assumption I am making, he announced, is that only 1 club was used. So even though her cause of death back in 75 was considered blunt force trauma, I think it's clear that these are sharp force injuries, specifically chop wounds, which does include characteristics of blunt force trauma. But clearly these wounds have characteristics of sharp force injuries. So objects that are used to produce chop wounds are typically heavy or a powerful object that is somewhat sharp to very sharp, or by a sharp object wielded with a tremendous amount of force. The edge of the object creates a sharp force injury, characterized by cutting of the skin and underlying tissues, whereas the intensity of the force or the relative bluntness of the object results in associated abrasions, lacerations, or contusions with or without underlying fractures. A chop wound's appearance may also aid in determining the type of weapons used, as the wounds may take on the pattern of the weapon. So if Ethan's injuries do have elements of blunt trauma, that would make them unique from the other 3 victims. And it would definitely introduce the possibility of 2 separate offenders, 2 separate weapons. This could even be 3 separate weapons used in this attack. Possibly the same weapon upstairs on Maddie and Kaylee. Could be a different knife on Xana if the golf club was at the scene. Could have been grabbed in a scuffle or a panic
Hey,
by the
Bubbly.
offender, or it could have even been grabbed by the victim in an attempt to confront the intruder, right? That could be an object that he grabbed, and then he could have become overpowered in a scuffle, perhaps in the hallway, as suggested by the source. Maybe not. But if he was overpowered, say by two males, one of them could have grabbed the golf club and beat him to death with it. Not to be graphic, but that's a possible scenario that could have happened. This is just something to think about with regards to these injuries. I think it's very interesting, and I think there's a reason we don't have more information on Ethan's injuries. So these new claims have to do with these schematics and locations of the murders. They claim that Ethan was confronted, or an altercation began in the hallway where he may have been overpowered, killed, and then the attacker or attackers turned their attention to Xana. And that makes sense to me. I don't, have any evidence to combat that. The one thing that bothers me is the charging documents, and I know that that's not fact, but I don't know. It's just something that sticks with me, because originally I did guess that order, that Xana was last, just based on her having defensive wounds and having to fight. But when I first heard these claims, I got real heated and, kind of like Ashley Banfield, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't line up with what we've been told. This doesn't line up with even the affidavit, because the affidavit says, quote, just before this room, which is Xana's room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached this room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle's, laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin. So because Corporal Payne first came across Xana's body, I'm like, no way Ethan was in the hallway, because he would have seen Ethan's body. And it does say also in the room. Ethan's body was in the room. And it's presumed that Xana's was too, but just perhaps closer to the hallway than Ethan's was. And then you have the statement from the coroner who says that they were all in beds. And I'm like, what the hell? None of this makes sense. Until I
Well, it's time to find a new apartment on Zillow. Huh, these are all great. And this one's close to mom. I can finally go to Sunday dinners.
watched the segment and pay very close attention to what's being said.
The other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun.
And compare that with what the coroner stated.
They might have been sleeping. Were they found in beds?
Yes.
So these news sources aren't.
I don't like how Cassie Mabbitt goes, yes.
I had just stepped out of the room. I'm sorry.
It's okay. After this video, we're at 3 hours and 39 minutes. I'm going to end the live after this video. Stick around after the live, Kiki.
Okay. I will.
Saying that Ethan was found in the hallway. They're simply claiming that an altercation started in the hallway and he was maybe killed in the hallway. Again, there's that presumption that you have to be found in the same location that you're killed. And as we covered in my previous video, crime scene staging and cleanup is a thing. If somebody wanted to make this look like a random intruder attack, as we've been led to believe, we have to consider the possibility that the bodies were moved. We know that Xana was at least discovered by Corporal Payne on the floor. It did say that in the affidavit. So we know Maddie and Kaylee definitely in the twin bed. Xana on the floor. Ethan just in the room. We don't know whether he was in the bed or not. But we do have to consider staging a possibility, and that could be why this particular crime scene is so complex, in addition to the contamination. But that's about all I have for you today. I know that this was a lot of information and a lot of speculation and just kind of trying to make sense of the facts and also the non-facts in this case. I really care about this case, and if you're listening to this and following my coverage, you probably do too. So it really does upset me to see leaks and possibly not credible information being presented as fact. There's nothing wrong with speculating. Obviously, this is a true crime channel. That's what we do. But the problem is when it's being presented as fact, that's when the waters get muddied, and ultimately it's a huge disservice to the victims. I understand that these were real people, and my goal is to not indulge in the morbidly curious, gruesome speculation about these poor college kids' deaths. No, not at all. My purpose is to sort through the facts, help us understand how something like this could happen, and maybe get a little closer to the truth and ultimately justice for the victims. I hope this has given you a thing or two to think about, and please let me know about.
Just remember, guys, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. They deserve justice. Their parents deserve justice. But at the same time, Brian deserves justice, and so does his parents. Because his parents lost someone too. He's sitting 2,500 miles away from his parents in a Latah County jail. And we all know that his mom and dad's not going to be able to drive across the country to go see him or fly across the country to go see him. Am I right, Kiki?
Yeah, I just don't know. Even it doesn't matter if they were even like an upper middle class family. I mean, just think about that. All these hearings we had, can you imagine having to spend the amount on a vacation to go stay, just travel across the country, completely across the country just to be present? I mean, it's just an expense. I don't think even not the average, an above average person could, take on lightly, let alone a normal average family. I agree with you.
Do we know if they're allowed to communicate with him at all?
I think they are because they. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You would know, Robert. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm sure that they communicate with them over the phone or through letters or something like that. But
right.
Knowing his dad would not drive clear across the country with him if, quote unquote, there was DNA all over inside of the car.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I mean, my theory is that the DNA ended up in a either a plastic bin in the trunk or a tarp of some sort or something wrapped in plastic, so that by the time you left the trunk, closed the trunk, and you're getting in the car, there's very little of that red stuff on you.
I agree with you, Jeff. I agree with the kill kit theory.
And I think that would be in line with the thinking of somebody that's studied this kind of stuff. So that's
or at least it'd be in line with
goes.
only having 113 pieces of forensic evidence too, because how did that happen? How did we get so little evidence? And so
like when I watch those I watched the videos they have on DeSales University's YouTube channel, and to see those students in that house that they use for mock crimes, evidence markers. I mean, you can imagine the mind of someone. You can go two ways. I mean, like one person looks at a hammer, they think I can build a house. Another person looks at it, thinks I can go unalive somebody.
Yeah.
So depending on, you're there to. This is just a theory. This is just where my mind goes in trying to figure things out. Is it possible you go there to learn how to be law enforcement, but at the same time you're learning how the criminal thinks? And if you do a research project asking criminals themselves if you got responses,
see, Now we all think that he'd done it by himself. What if, since he was going to DeSales University anyway, what if it was a group project?
I just think that the best way to keep a secret is to be the only one that knows it. The moment, all you got to have is one other person. I mean, if John Lennon and Paul McCartney couldn't keep it together and they end up breaking up, marriages break up. Two people. It's just two people. But when you've got one person, you've got all the secrets. Nobody knows them. You can sit there, and no matter, just as long as your face doesn't reveal any of what you don't want it to reveal, your secret's safe.
Yeah,
and two, I think in a house where we've heard that the stairs are creaky, you can hear everything. I think anybody in that house, they'd remember. I remember hearing 2 sets of footsteps. I mean, I heard something. There was somebody on the main floor, footsteps. There was upstairs, but that wasn't. Now, granted, we haven't heard everything, so I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I just think it's easier to keep a secret.
Were you on the screen, Jeff? You were talking about GAC earlier.
Right.
Get a Clue is now going by Brent Propaka Burger and Sigmachi as an AI pod.
Yeah, Sigma Chai.
Yeah, as an
every
AI
time I hear
pod.
that, I feel like a chai tea latte from Starbucks.
Yeah, I believe he is up to something for sure. He leaves, comes back, deletes. He leaves, comes back, deletes, comes back, under a new alias, rehashing GAC stuff.
I am not even addressing this. Like I said, I want nothing to do with calling out other creators on YouTube right now.
It's in your chat, Kiki.
I got to say, when I was in New Orleans for this past week, I watched a lot of his videos, and I like his videos. I think
never mind. It's in my chat.
I think he's really. But I mean, the leaving and coming back. I mean, I did the same thing. You know, I got kind of upset with the way things went down with well, you guys don't like to mention rappers, YouTubers. You figured out. You know, we there was I got kicked to the curb a little bit, and I resented it a little bit and was kind of frustrated. Took down my channel basically. Everybody, I had so many nice comments say, Jeff, come on back.
Kiki.
I know. I'm sorry, Scott. And like I
Swamp Rose, where can we listen to your ASMR?
Wait, where can I have? So thank you for asking, Bubbly. I have. If you go to my videos and you go to you sort them by popular, my most viewed videos are my ASMR videos. They were private for a long, long time, but I made them public about 2 years ago. But if you buy a membership, my memberships are really cheap. It's like 99 cents. I must have, and I have a lot. I probably have 100 ASMR videos on there. Because when I first got the memberships, I did a ton of members videos. But thanks for asking. Yeah, they're just in membership, or they're on my channel, and they got a lot more views than my true crime videos.
Happy Hounds. It was a group project, and you can find the names of all others involved by going further into the info on the university website.
Actually, it's listed at the bottom of that survey that Koberger put out. There's 2 professors' names, but there's also I can't quite figure out everything regarding that survey, but I know Professor Bolger from DeSales said that survey was part of his project, and she referred to it as his capstone project.
Which the professor, the one that recommended him to WASU?
I think that's the same one that recommended him. Yeah, Professor Michelle Bolger. And she said that this was his capstone project, which means his crowning achievement, I think if you look in the dictionary. And so, if this being his capstone project, it's like, I just wonder. Thing is, if these 2 professors that are listed at the bottom, it just listed their email addresses, which I assumed when I saw it was that he's doing this project. He's a student. Here's his the professors that are giving the of the class that he's in. It was just their contact emails were at the bottom. If you look at that Reddit survey, it's just it's easy to Google and search. It's right at the bottom of the survey.
Thank you, Heather. Please understand.
Jules. I was watching Jules' video regarding this, and watching most of my comments get ignored on it. So
Aww,
I didn't. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's maybe not intentional, but it's like, okay.
She's got a big chat though, right? Like it probably goes flying by. She might not see them.
Well, and also too, I'm completely on the opposite side of what she believes. So
Angel
sometimes
D.
that happens,
Jeff H talks a lot. LOL. Love you, Jeffy.
Angel D. She just likes to add a little flavor to the chat.
Yeah, Angel's fun. No, we
I
joke
know.
around a lot. We joke around a lot.
Hey, I'm ending this live stream because we've gone for almost 4 hours. Jeff H, Kiki, stick around, and I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and giving us a good chat for the most part. And want you to let everyone know what's going to be going on with you guys this week and the following weeks.
Oh, Jeff?
Go ahead, Kiki. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, you
well,
first. Ladies first.
Well, thank you. So tomorrow morning, I have my regular scheduled 10 a.m. live stream. I like doing those in the morning, and we're trying to build up a morning viewership. So please visit my channel at 10 a.m. Eastern time if you'd like. It's just a casual live stream. I try to do an hour, but it always ends up being 3 hours. So we'll see what happens. And then Friday night, tomorrow night, I'm a guest on another channel, but I think he's trying to keep it under wraps, like that I'm a guest. So I'm not going to announce it. But
Oh no, he's already done put it out on his.
Oh, he did?
It's called the Guilters versus the Pro Burgers.
Did he put my name on there?
No, he didn't put your name on there. It's just titled the Guilters versus the Pro Burgers.
Well, I think it's supposed to be a surprise. I don't know, but I will post it. I don't want to. I'm probably already ruined it. But yeah, I'm going to be on another channel on Friday night, and then I'm back Monday. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that, Robert.
And me, I ain't got nothing happening.
Come on, Jeff.
No, I just got back from a week-long shoot where we were shooting for like 10-hour days, running around with my... Actually, it was cool, though, because I got to run around with my new Canon 5D Mark IV camera and shooting sports and all kinds of slow-mo stuff of these guys grunting and weightlifting and basketball and soccer. And it's really cool because using a camera, you just learn so much about how the camera works. It's like it sucks. By the third day, I'd really figured out how to do slow-mo and focusing well. It's like, at least next time I do it, I'll know it on the first day.
Yeah.
But one thing I was thinking of doing, which would be cool, is that 1320 Linda Lane footage that Sigma Chi put out. I could do a difference mode version of that, which might be cool. Might be
We
able
could
to
probably
see.
make the car out better. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it will definitely show things that are moving. They might pop out where things that you might not have noticed. It's mainly just anything that's in motion is gonna appear bright in the screen. Everything that's the same that just sits there still is almost like solid black, except for the noise.
If you're going to be going into that, could you check the audio too and just see, is there some sort of indicator? You said the swoosh, like you said, you might try to line that up with Linda Lane. Is that's something you can look into? Wow, that would be.
Well, I did line something up with Linda Lane.
The Banfield, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you know what I think I might have lined up was that trunk sound that I thought I heard at 4:21:01 a.m. followed by the car at 4:21:19 a.m. speeding away.
I thought you did the key fob.
But I also yeah, I did that too. That was early on. That was matching up the Banfield to 1330 Linda Lane camera. But I was curious if I could still hear that trunks close and then the car speeding away as I thought on the 1320 camera. And when I looked at that, there's clearly a car that is going up. I don't remember what the name of the road is, but it connects Taylor and Nez Pierce Drive that goes behind Sigma Chi. There's a car clearly going up that road, hanging a left on Nez Pierce. The movements of that car line up with the sounds of the car that I thought was speeding away from the murder house. So I'm rethinking that theory completely now. But yeah, I think it would be cool to do a difference mode version of the 1320 footage, just to see if there's anything that's moving that we might have missed because it was just, wasn't in difference mode. So maybe that's what I'll do in the next day or two.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight, and here's our closing countdown.